Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. I hope all of this works okay. Did a total reset, new kind of in-between temporary space as I've been working on trying to move and do things. And hi, how are you guys? Hopefully this all works out okay. Literally brand new computer setup that I just set up 2 days ago. So a lot of stuff has changed. Haven't really had time to stress test it yet. So hopefully it's doing okay. So how are you guys? Hopefully you guys are hanging in there. Hopefully this is a good distraction to be able to watch a rocket launch together. It's always a fun thing to be able to do as the community. So yeah, hopefully you guys are staying safe, looking for fun things to do, maybe starting some new hobbies. I don't know, maybe creating something. But let's dive right in here. I'm going to give you guys a rundown on today's mission because we're going to hopefully see the most powerful Atlas V launch. So if you go like this, you can go to a website called everydayastronaut.com. And click on pre-launch previews, of course, and you will get... Now, notice, I do want to point out something. Every other launch besides this one is currently in a to-be-determined potential... Yeah, this might be the last launch we get to see for about a month because of some of the events around the world, and as people are quarantining, people are not being able to go into work, etc., etc., etc. Oh, top right is wrong. Okay, I am sorry. I knew I forgot to do something. So there's our countdown clock just on its own. Sorry about that, guys. We do have the wrong, totally wrong caption. I messed up. Sorry. But anyway, so we'll get into it here in a second. Where it's going, what it's carrying. I get that question all the time on Twitter still. It's like I'll post a link to a video, like an upcoming stream. Tomorrow I'm going to watch this launch. Let's watch it. People go, what's launching? What rocket? Where is it? It's like, guys, go to pre-launch previews. So everydayastronaut.com, click on pre-launch previews. You can find the upcoming mission here. No big deal. And this will give you the rundown. Literally everything you're probably wondering about the mission will be readily available to you. So here we are. Today's launch. Subject to change if, something happens. We do have a little bit of a launch window, but it's supposed to take off today, March 26, 2020, in 24 minutes. So I do have that countdown. That is assuming no upcoming scrubs or anything. The mission is the AEHF-6, which is the 6th launch of the Advanced Extremely High Frequency Satellite. So this is, we'll talk more about that in a second. Launch provider for this is the United Launch Alliance, ULA. This is actually the first official launch of the United States Space Force. So, of course, there's been at this point, it's sort of a pivotal time where they're changing the name basically of what the Air Force used to control for space assets is now being directed under the Space Force, which honestly, this has actually been something that they've wanted to do for a long time. I actually think it makes a lot of sense. Why? Just like in the same way in, I think, World War I, the Army was in charge of airplanes. And so they eventually, after that, made the Air Force to be in command of things in space, or things in the air. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, if you ask me, in some ways. So it is the first launch really of that. So let's see. Okay, so we'll keep going here. This is the United Launch Alliance. You are the first customer for the U.S. Space Force. The rocket is the Atlas V 551. This is the most powerful variant of the Atlas V rocket. So, let's see here. Sorry, I realize that you guys are probably seeing like a lot of extra stuff on the screen because it's, let me see here. Oh well. Hang on, let me just do this real quick. Where are we? Let me just do this and then we won't have to worry about it. Whatever, it's not working. So, okay, so sorry, the Atlas V 551 is the 5-meter fairing, 5 solid rocket boosters, and a single RL-10 upper stage engine on the the Centaur. We'll pop over to the live broadcast here in a second, but this is taking off from Space Launch Complex SLC 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Oopsies. It needs to be Cape Canaveral SFS in Florida. We're so used to saying Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, but it's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The payload mass today, this is a little over 6 tons, so 6,000 kilograms, about 13,000 pounds, going out to geostationary transfer orbit. So this is, these are pretty high energy missions, which is why, if you have 6,000 kilograms going out to geostationary transfer orbit, that's a pretty heavy satellite. Requires the biggest, most powerful Atlas V available in order to do that. So, yay. That's pretty exciting. Will they be attempting to recover the first stage? No, they are not. This is not a capability of any of United Launch Alliance's vehicles. So the first stage, therefore, will be crashing into the Atlantic Ocean. I think a lot further away than 600 kilometers offshore. I'm pretty sure that first stage will go almost more like 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers downrange. We need to look up the exclusion zone. It's a long ways away, unfortunately. Are they attempting to recover the fairings? No, again, this is not a capability or current capability or plan for United Launch Alliance, so they are new fairings. But this will be the 83rd launch of an Atlas V rocket, which I think will tie it right back up with Falcon 9. So I think they're right now butt and butt, or head to head. I don't know. This is the 6th and final installment of the AEHF satellite. And of course, we have our graphic here from Jeff Barrett. That kind of gives you guys the rundown here on the vehicle, the satellite, and all that stuff. And if you need more of a rundown here, this is the rest of our article. So go ahead and give that a read with lots of things, including the series of Atlases. I wish they had done the Atlas Heavy. That would have been so cool like that. But this was written by Austin. Everyone say thank you to Austin. And how are you guys? So just a random gamer kid. Thanks for saying hi. I'm doing good. I'm actually kind of just cranking down and working on a lot of stuff right now, which is for me. It looks like United Launch Alliance is technically being it's live, but we're not seeing anything from them yet. I will have them in the background though, in case they're about to pop up. So so I'm doing great. I'm working really hard on a new video that I'm hoping to have out next week. You guys know how long it takes me to make videos because I end up getting way too deep in the paint with the context always. But this one's going to be a little bit easier because it's more modern things that I don't need to research too much. Here we go. Okay, so they are live. I'm gonna have them pulled up here in a little bit in the corner. So expect a pretty cool video. I'm actually going to really dive into the current state of NASA's SLS program and the Artemis, and compare that to Starship and do a head-to-head of Starship and SLS. And believe it or not, it's going to be a little bit more comprehensive and probably a different outcome than you might think. So let's give this a listen real quick. I want to hear what they're saying.
Forces Space and Missile Systems Center. Good afternoon and welcome to Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. I'm Amanda Sterling, and I am the Program Operations Lead on the Vulcan Centaur program. The launch team is not working any issues at this time, and we are proceeding towards a liftoff at 2:57 p.m. Eastern Time. A few seconds from now, the count will enter a planned 15-minute hold. There are 2 planned holds in our nearly 7-hour launch count. The planned holds give our team additional time to resolve any issues prior to entering the terminal count. Will Ulrich, the 45th Space Wing's weather officer, recently briefed the launch team on current weather conditions here at Cape Canaveral. The probability of violating launch constraints is 10%. The ground winds are 5 to 10 knots out of the northeast, and the temperature is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So the weather is within the launch commit criteria and looks favorable for the planned T0 of 2:57 p.m. Eastern.
So I saw
Because
an
of the
interesting...
long duration of today's mission, live coverage will conclude following the separation of TDO-2, a 12-unit CubeSat attached to the Atlas V aft bulkhead. Following today's broadcast, check out ULA's live launch updates blog at ulalaunch.com, where you will find official and timely information regarding the AEHF-6 mission. Now, let's take a look at all of the events from liftoff through AEHF-6 separation.
Sweet. So they'll just give us a mission profile. You can watch this online later. So let's just kind of keep this in the background. We'll know, but I want to answer a few more questions. Someone asked, is this kind of like a Proton? You really couldn't be any more different from the Proton. The Proton, although it looks like it has a cluster of boosters around the Proton rocket, those are all actually boundedness together. Those do not detract, or they don't detach at all. And the Atlas V booster does have a core stage with a single RD-180 engine, which is a beautiful, wonderfully powerful engine. And it has in this case has 5 boosters and here we see them separating. And so those 5 boosters do detach. Those are solid rocket motors. You'll hear ULA calls them SRMs, solid rocket motors, as opposed to a lot of other companies. You'll hear solid rocket boosters. They're the same thing. And in general, I heard someone ask me one time, what's the difference between a motor and an engine? They're really, those two terms, just like in a car, people will kind of use those terms, kind of interchangeably. But in general, people tend to say engine when they're referring to a liquid-fueled rocket engine, and they might use the term motor when they're referring to a solid rocket booster. That's just kind of the general thing. It's not necessarily exactly, not exactly like science of that, but that is what you might hear most common. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know. Oh, that's right. The default settings right now are only... Oh, no, I've got 1080p. Oh, is my OBS 720 for you guys? Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. Output is 720. Shoot, sorry. I knew I didn't check absolutely everything. All right, next stream of mine will definitely be back in 1080, so I apologize if you guys are stuck at 720. But it's YouTube right now. It's getting slammed, so I bet your default settings were 480 or 720 anyway, so my bad. It is my OBS settings. I knew I didn't catch every little thing. But anyway, so then the booster, detaches and we'll see the Centaur upper stage. But the Centaur upper stage is still actually the most not most powerful by any means, because it's actually a very underpowered upper stage. But as far as delta V and the amount of actual velocity change it can do, it has a crazy amount of energy. So once it's parked in orbit, you can do a lot with that stage, because that RL-10 is very efficient, and the Centaur upper stage has still the best mass fraction of any upper stage to date, and it is made out of steel. It is basically stainless steel. So it is a balloon structure, so it's slightly different than Starship being developed, which will be rigid, and it's own. It's able to actually, carry its own weight, support its own weight, even when unpressurized. The Centaur upper stage needs to actually keep pressure on itself in order to be able to maintain rigidity and maintain structure. So, hey, yeah, only one thing wrong today so far. Hey, that might be a record for me. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The Atlas V has been such a solid and reliable vehicle, and it's interesting to see ULA's starting to practice some of the things they'll be using from the Atlas V. They're starting to kind of practice some of the things to be able to use their upcoming Vulcan rocket, test out some of the systems on Atlas as it flies today. Destin from Smarter Every Day did a really cool video and a tour with ULA's CEO, Tori Bruno. He released that video probably 3 weeks ago or something. It's an awesome video. If you want to get a sense of how ULA is, what they kind of do in the industry, how they build rockets, it's a really cool... Oh, God, that freaked me out. This is a time-lapse video of them pushing it to the pad. I thought it was like tipping over or something. What was that? No, thank you. That made me panic for a second. Oh, man. Did anyone else have a small heart attack there when all of a sudden the rocket's just like shifting over? Anyway, maybe I'm the only one that noticed that. Okay, let me answer a few more of you guys' questions, because I think they're kind of just going over the same stuff that we've been talking about. So Cooper, hey Tim, love your stuff. You got me into rockets and space, and now you're starting to study astrophysics at Penn State in the fall. All thanks to you. Dang, that is awesome. Congratulations on getting accepted to Penn State and starting to study astrophysics. That's awesome. We definitely need more people actually studying the sciences and really digging into it, because there's still a lot of really cool discoveries to make and infinite space to explore. So we're going to need more and more of you out there, going out, learning and getting advanced degrees and becoming engineers, scientists, mathematicians, all, there's so many things that will help humanity grow and expand. And so everyone say good luck to Cowper, Couperr, and best of luck on behalf of all of humans. Please kick some butt for us and learn a bunch. Panic Coic. First I'm catching a real live stream, and it might be the last for a while. You rock, keeping me excited over space flight. Well, thank you. I'll probably dip in here maybe after I finish my next video and maybe do a live stream. I've wanted to do a live stream of starting a fresh Kerbal Space Program, like kind of how to play Kerbal Space Program, and show you all the things that I do in order to make it work well for me, some of the control bindings that I do that I think are unique and helpful, just kind of tips and how to start from scratch, because I bet there'll be a lot of people looking for some fun new distractions right now. So maybe this would be a good time for people to be like, I'm just going to download Kerbal Space Program. So I might make a live tutorial of that on how I do those things. So yeah, let me know. Let me know if that's something you would like to see in the upcoming week or two. So David S., hello from quarantine. Thanks for the welcome distraction. I haven't seen another human in about a week and a half. Things are getting weird, so it's always nice to hear voices in real life. David, yeah, I know. I think I kind of trained myself for this whole thing when I made the Raptor video last year, because I ended up literally working. At one point, I hadn't left the house. It was either 10 or 11 days. Like, I literally didn't even go outside. So I think I'm trained and ready for this. So we're just back into those modes. And for the pollution video, I just put out a really comprehensive video. If you're watching this right now, after this is done, watch a video. It's the most comprehensive video I've ever made. It's about how much do rockets pollute? How much, what's their actual environmental impact of rockets? What's coming out of the flaming end of them? How much is it actually contributing to, air quality and global warming and things like that? I do all of everything. I break it totally down 100%. I worked one night. I realized I thought it was 16 hours. It was 18 hours. I woke up at 8, and I worked until the middle of the night before it came out, just making sure everything was good to go. So, yeah, I'm used to these weird hours and working at home alone anyway. So this is pretty normal for me, but I hope that you guys are all hanging in there okay. I know it's quite a change for a lot of people. I think that's kind of a unique situation right now where everyone's literally coming together as humans, like all of us are experiencing this weird, awkward time where it's like, what are we doing here? And I hope that everyone's doing okay. Like I said, maybe now's a good time to start some new habits. Do something good for yourself and good for your future. Maybe work on challenging yourself to do push-ups or sit-ups, or if it's okay in your area to go on like a long walk or something, make some time for yourself or start a new hobby. Get in some good habits for yourself. It's a good a time now to change up some of those things that you've been wanting to do. Maybe this is like the ultimate New Year's resolution, is the time to really confront yourself with all those things you've been hoping to do. So, sorry, that rant is over. Lucas says, I am dockside by Go Searcher and Go Navigator. They're currently receiving repairs. Go Mistreat and Go Mischief are moving around the dock and barge. That is super cool, man. I miss the port right now. I can't wait to get back down to Florida and see some more launches in real life. Gosh, that is the absolute coolest thing ever. So seeing a rocket launch in real life, if you guys ever get a chance to see a rocket launch with your own eyes, make sure and do it, because it is seriously about the coolest thing ever. For some reason, my YouTube thing does not seem to be playing nicely right now. But I want to watch this real quick. This is a cool thing that they do. They show you where you can see it from.
Row seat. Here's a look at what you'll see. The red line represents the rocket's trajectory, and the time in the upper right corner corresponds with elapsed time from liftoff here at Cape Canaveral. So if the skies are clear, step outside and see if you can see the launch.
It's always a little easier to see these at night, but that's pretty cool. So if you're in the area, poke your head outside if it's okay to do so.
-8
I'm sure it's okay to go outside.
LC switch to the ready position. All steps are complete prior to the status check.
All right, we're going to listen into the getting ready to come out of the 4-minute hold, which this is normal.
We remain in the planned 15-minute built-in hold as we continue to prepare for liftoff. In a few moments, launch conductor Scott Barney will poll the launch team for the final go to pick up the countdown. 29 engineers and managers are polled for system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check before launch for all Atlas vehicle systems, ground systems, the spacecraft, and the U.S. Air Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Scott Barney performs the final polling of the launch team.
L-7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas system.
I love this
propulsion.
part.
Go. Hydraulics. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LO2. Go. Water. Go. Centaur systems. Propulsion. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
HASGAP. Go. Electrical systems. Airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
Operations support.
Go.
COM. Go. Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Red line monitor. Go. Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer. Go. Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding
baby.
with the count. ALC. Verify T0 is set for 1857 Zulu.
Verified.
Sweet. So now we'll actually see them get out of that planned 15-minute hold, and we'll actually see the countdown clock start going down at T-4 minutes. Just kind of the way they've always done things. It's a little different than what we might be used to if you're used to seeing like a SpaceX launch, which they just count all those things.
Polling is complete, and the launch team has given the go for launch.
Yeah, I think now is a good
From
time
T-minus 4 minutes until launch, you will be listening to Scott Barney and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. You will hear the team call out that Atlas LO2 topping has been secured, followed about a minute later by the call out for transferring the Atlas and Centaur stages from ground facility power to internal battery power. At T-minus 1 minute 55 seconds, the team will command the launch sequencer to start, followed shortly by securing the Centaur LH2 and LO2 topping activity. At T-minus 1 minute 40 seconds, the team will command the flight control system to launch enable and arm the flight termination system. In the final minute, the Atlas tanks will be verified at flight pressures, followed by verification of Centaur tank pressures. A final status check of Atlas, Centaur, and AEHF-6 readiness is conducted at T-minus 25 seconds. At T-minus 3 seconds, the RD-180 engine will roar to life. After liftoff, you'll hear the voice of Jesse Gonzalez providing launch vehicle ascent data.
So I've had a lot of people asking for my pointy end up, flamey end down confirmation. This is a vital part of the countdown. It does appear that the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down. So here we go. Hopefully they'll release it from hold, and we'll see if they indeed can confirm.
On mark.
Yes. All right, here we go.
355.
Ground pyros enabled.
The countdown clock has resumed, and we are go for launch at 2:57 p.m. Eastern.
All right. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So basically now we're T-minus 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. And I'll get to a lot of you guys' questions here in a little bit. I do like to listen to the final countdown here. But there's a few questions that I'll stick around to the end too and hit up all your guys' questions too, because I mean, come on, we got some time here between all of us. So at this point though, T-minus 3 minutes, I'm very jealous that I'm not out there in Florida watching this thing launch. It sounds quite nice right now to be able to see a rocket launch, just considering all things considered with what's going on in the world today. But I did want to remind you this is that time where I remind you that the smoke you're seeing is not smoke. That is just
3 minutes.
condensation, because if you were to go up and touch the rocket right now,
Atlas tanks to flight pressure.
Okay. If you were to go up and touch the rocket right now, especially the upper part of that stage, the first stage, is the liquid oxygen, and then the upper stage, the Centaur up inside the fairing, is totally cryogenic. So it's liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So it's very, very cold, like almost minus 200 degrees Celsius. It's very cold. And as a matter of fact, the liquid hydrogen is a lot colder than that even. So what you're seeing is the humid air come in contact with the really cold rocket, and that is condensation pouring off of it. You're also seeing venting as the liquid oxygen inside expands into gaseous oxygen, although it's still really cold. So as it comes out, it's really cold gas, and it again freezes and makes little ice droplets and condensation. And that's what you're seeing coming out of the rocket at this point. It's all normal. Everything is still good to go. So
1 minute 59 seconds.
there we go. We're now down in the last.
Internal.
155.
Launch sequencer start.
150.
Securing Centaur LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch enabled.
All right.
137.
FTS armed.
That is the flight termination system.
T-minus
FTS.
90 seconds. The launch vehicle, payload, ground systems, and eastern range are go for launch.
T-minus 1 minute 20 seconds.
People are asking what this mission is
FTS
again.
count started.
115.
Reduce CCS for launch.
I love all this stuff. I love the chatter.
110.
Vent valves locked.
So if you're on if you have a way to be able to click on the description below, I do have a link to the pre-launch preview on everydayastronaut.com/pre-launch previews. You can click on this range green, we're good to go. You can actually see what the exact mission is, all the profiles, where it's going, what it's doing, blah, 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 in the link in the description if you want to know what this mission is. But we're now under T-minus 1 minute, so I'm just going to listen in.
Hold.
No!
LC switch not ready.
Flight control. Got to hold at approximately T-minus 46 seconds.
Shoot. We just got put into a hold. But luckily...
All team, proceed to Operation 80.
Shoot.
Centaur tank venting in progress. Roger.
Shoot.
A recycle call by flight control at T-minus 159.
Okay, so they can reset the clock at 1:59.
Excuse me, T-minus 46 seconds. LC switch is not ready.
Luckily, they can recycle. They can just repress their fuel, and they will hopefully be able to give it another chance here. The Atlas V there's a 2-hour launch window for today's, there's a 2-hour launch window
Atlas
for today's
tank
launch.
pressures are stable at 30.
Roger. Centaur tank pressures are stable.
Okay.
Roger.
Okay, so
Flight control is ready to reset the clock to T-minus 4 and holding.
Roger.
we'll be able to go right back
ALC,
into it pretty
reset
much.
Countdown clock to T-minus 4 minutes and holding.
Roger.
So basically, they said the LC switch was not ready at basically around T-minus 40 seconds. They can totally reset. Again, they have 2 hours of availability here where the range is green in order to be able to line up with the correct orbit and do all the things they need to do. So, yeah, for some reason, something about the, I don't know what the exact launch control switch. I don't really know what LC switch necessarily means, but
This is Alice
okay,
Mission
here.
Control. The team is working to reset the clock to T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We will pass along a new T0 when it's available.
Countdown clock is reset to T-minus 4 minutes and holding.
Roger.
Okay, so hopefully they'll be able to go right back into it. I've never.
OSM, LC.
OSM.
Step 50, place SRB ignition, SA switch at disabled position.
SRB ignition disabled.
Okay, so they're fully resetting for now, or like
LC the flight control.
the
Flight
final.
control. Yeah,
4
step 30
minutes.
SS FAPS inactive. That's the S in pre-flight mode.
Roger.
They're basically going back into pre-flight configuration.
All stations recycle systems back to T-minus 4 and holding configuration.
Okay, so
Hold occurred at 46 seconds. Report status of completion.
46 seconds. Okay. So I'll go ahead and answer some of your guys' questions now while we're waiting for them to get back into the terminal count at T-minus 4 minutes. Let me answer a few more of your guys' questions here. So let's see. Mike Powers, thank you. Harry May, thank you. Rocket Chaser, I'm sorry I missed your message, but thank you. Chazzy Mac, aloha, a KSP career mode, please. I'm learning it now. Okay. I think I can definitely give you guys a Kerbal tutorial on how to kind of get started. For those of you that don't know what Kerbal Space Program is, it's kind of like a simulator / rocket buildings factory / exploration, like sandbox thing where you build rockets and you send them out to planets, and 100% explosion factory. That's what I always say, because you'll blow up a lot of rockets and hopefully not kill too many Kerbals. But yeah, it's an awesome way to really learn orbital mechanics and learn a good handful, like grasp some of the concepts behind rocket science. So I'll definitely that's something I'll for sure do, especially maybe that'll be the way that I bring in the new computer. It'll be with a fresh Kerbal live stream. So yeah, just listening for them. Okay, they're good to get. They're moving in. So I'll let you guys know when they get back out of the 4-minute hold. So okay, Bronzy Dog, what was the weird solar panel we saw come out of the rocket? So are you referring in the animation? There was they're launching some CubeSats that are secondary payloads underneath the Centaur upper stage. It has some CubeSat dispensers, and that's likely what we saw. I'm not entirely sure what you were exactly talking about. Hold on.
The launch team through the steps to safe the rocket and pad systems following the unplanned hold called at T-minus 46 seconds. Meanwhile, engineers are examining the cause of the countdown stoppage. We are still sitting at T-minus 4 minutes and holding, and we will pass along a new T0 when it's available.
Okay. So we got a little bit more time to answer you guys' questions. They're still working on resetting, basically, and hoping to be able to bring the rocket back online and get it ready for a new. So they basically have to reset, like, exactly what the new T0 is and all that stuff, and vent, repressurize the tanks, reset all of the things. You don't want to you want to make sure that, like, your solid rocket booster is still ignited at the exact right time and all that stuff. So they're just basically going through all those steps to ready the vehicle for another attempt. So yeah. Tyler Haley, let's see here. I'm a professional submarine. Is that what it's called when you're just? Are you a submarine yourself? Sorry, I've never heard that. Apparently, that makes sense. I guess you'd be. Yeah. So Tyler is a submarine, which I never thought I'd say. Is that what it really is? Anyway, Tyler is a submarine, and you spent several months underwater away from the sun. So routine is the key to sanity. Ooh. Yeah.
Golf.
Let me hear this.
Centaur LO2, continuing topping.
Roger.
We'll see prop 1.
Go.
First sub step
Okay.
Charlie. Atlas propulsion system stable.
Roger.
First step Delta. Atlas control system stable.
Roger.
All right. So I'm learning now that Tyler must have mistyped in professional submariner. I was going to say, I've never heard that. Makes more sense than just being a professional submarine. Okay, Tyler's a professional submariner, and basically the key to sanity during these times when you might not be able to go do your normal things is to be able to have some actual routine. So go ahead and start some new routines for yourself, even if they're temporary. So yeah. D.A. Gordon. D.A. Gordon has an A7L replica, which is the spacesuit that they used for the iconic Apollo era spacesuits, not the EVA ones, but the flight suits that you see. They kind of have like the fish, what do they call that? The fishbowl looking helmet, all glass. It's super, super cool. Apparently, D.A. Gordon has an A7L replica. Love to keep up your artistic vision. That's awesome. Are you saying that you would like for me to return to doing everyday astronaut photos in a spacesuit? Because it would take a lot for me to get back in that suit. I wore myself out with that so bad. I don't know if you guys know this, but in 2018, I shot a series for Facebook. Facebook had a original programming called Facebook Watch, and me and a producer and I sold a series to Facebook, and we shot the whole series of me in a spacesuit running around answering kind of everyday astronaut like type of rocket questions. Hey, let me hear what they're saying real quick.
Configuration as it was at the T-4 minute hold point. As the team works that, the team is working to determine the issue that initiated the hold. In addition, today's available launch window does extend to 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, so after I did that, I was wearing the suit for like 12 hours a day for 2 weeks straight, and that pretty much wore me out of it. And I would and I kind of changed the tone. The tone of that show was very like over the top, silly, friendly, a lot of antics. And I maybe pushed that as far as that will go, and then realized that, maybe my audience here on YouTube at least is definitely more of the, like, let's actually dive into the hard facts. Let's still have fun. Let's appreciate rocket science, but let's actually try to tackle the things that are really hard to hard to explain, hard to understand. The things that require a 50-minute long video to set up all the things so enough about expansion ratio to understand why the aerospike is unique, so that enough about the different staged combustion cycles and methane in order to understand something like the Raptor engine and why it's special. That's when I really decided to focus in on my content as trying to really take the advanced things that are really intimidating and try to make them less intimidating, more fun to watch, more fun to digest, and hopefully by the end of it you have a really strong understanding. So according to Tori Bruno on Twitter, they are topping the vehicle off. Thank you, Discord. Evan says, I work at a grocery store in California, so things have been crazy, but I've been playing Beat Saber in VR for exercise. Hey, that's cool. That's a good idea. Hold on.
Side half gas is ready.
Roger.
Okay. They're getting ready.
LD, LC, that one.
LD on 1.
SLD, we did hold it 46 seconds. Recycle of the system is now complete, awaiting completion of the issue that caused us to abort out, and waiting on that resolution.
Cool.
Roger that. Once we hear the resolution, we'll coordinate with the mission director and coordinate a new T0.
Roger.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So they're basically resetting. They have recycled, and they're looking now for their new T0 time, and they'll be good to go. So, Evan, thank you for honestly, you're during these times, working in a grocery store is like the craziest job I think you can have. So really good luck. Stay healthy. Wash your hands a lot. Take care of yourself. And thank you for keeping us able to feed ourselves at this time. So everyone say thanks to Evan. And real quick, just in chat, everyone say thanks to any medical professionals and public health safety people and public officers and grocery store workers, because they're the backbone of our not our country, of the world right now. So thank you. Seriously, that's insane. Trevor says he's really surprised I never mentioned the fuel economy of spacecraft put into orbit. Trevor, there's a really good reason for that, my friend. Fuel economy is really like a distance unit of measurement. It's really, if you say 30 miles per gallon, that's of course an imperial measurement, or X liters per kilometer or whatever. Saying those things is a measure of when you go from point A to point B. The deal with putting something into space, putting a payload into space, the distance is a relative. The distance doesn't matter. So you can't just say like it gets X miles per gallon, because the thing will keep traveling in space basically indefinitely, especially if it's like going to geostationary orbit. It's just sitting there spinning for eternity. And it's not really a good metric. That's why it's better to just measure your payload, your actual, capability to LEO. So your payload ratio, your payload capability, and compare that in ratios to your outputs. That's why I did low Earth orbit to CO2 emissions, low Earth orbit to water emissions, low Earth orbit to your ozone depleting substances, your ODSs. That's a better metric. That's the only real valid metric for rockets and what they put into space, really. It's fuel economy. And the other metric, of course, would be like specific impulse, or your delta V total, your C3, or how much capability the vehicle has in total. Fuel economy, specific fuel economy like that just makes no sense for rockets and space flight, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's why I went with the payload capability to CO2 to all these other ratios. So that's why we did that, and hopefully that makes sense. But thanks for watching the video, Trevor. Again, if you guys are curious about how much rockets, what their environmental impact is, how much they pollute, what actually comes out of the flamey end, how toxic they are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, go ahead and watch my latest video about rocket pollution. I promise it's long. It's 55 minutes long, and it might sound like it's one of those topics like, is this really that interesting? But by the end, I promise you, it'll fly by, because by the end you'll be like, holy cow, I had no idea. Like, we compare them to airliners, we compare them to other industry, and we really just put rockets into perspective. And spoiler alert, total CO2 emissions of rockets is 0.0000059%. So, but you got to see the lead up to all that, because I actually see how many times we have to launch rockets per day in order to match things like the airline industry. And I also compare what if we launch super rockets like Starship. And I had a lot of people commenting that, why did I compare Starship to, on its own compared to Starship with Super Heavy, saying, it's in order to do point to point, you'll still have to use Super Heavy. No, there's a tweet in 2018. I linked it in the article now, because a lot of people were asking about that. But Elon said that basically with the new fins that they have, the glide ratio and the mass fractions, that point to point makes the most sense without Super Heavy booster. That they have enough margins, they have a long enough glide range, all these things that the they will be doing point to point transportation without the Super Heavy booster. And think about it, on the scale of economics, it's a suborbital flight. It's very close to orbital. Sometimes you'll probably be getting like 97% of orbital velocity, but it still has enough margin then to be able to land. So yeah, there you go. That's that's what we're talking about. So definitely check out that video. What was I talking about? I don't even remember. Apple orchards. Okay. Hi, Tim. Your videos are what got you into rocketry. Thank you for all you do. Well, thank you, Apple. Thanks for saying hi. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Bronzy Dog, what was the weird rectangular solar panel we saw in the 3D animation? Okay, so hopefully, yeah, the weird rectangular solar panel, I'm guessing, is when you saw the CubeSats that they're deploying. And that's becoming more and more of a common thing. If you have some CubeSats that are small, lightweight, you throw those babies in a little dispenser on your upper stage. Once you get into your parking orbit, boop, you pop out the CubeSats, no big deal. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I'd have to look back at the animation to know exactly what you're exactly talking about, but I'm 99% certain that's what we're talking about. So, all right, Pineapple Nerds, time to light this candle. Yes, we're hopefully getting close to hearing about a new T0 time, and therefore our clock up there on the top left of your screen, that's currently at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Hopefully we'll see us get out of that 4-minute hold. So, yeah. Oh, let's hear what they say.
Analyzing the data related to the issue that caused the unplanned hold and working to resolve the issue and establish a new T0.
Okay, so they're still working on finding a new T0, but again, there is a 2-hour launch window today, so we have about an hour and 40 minutes or so left in today's launch window. So hopefully we still see this thing go off today. That would be great. That would be great. And Bronzy Dog, thanks again for you didn't have to keep sending me money, but thank you and keep having to do this. Hopefully I answered your question by now, Bronzy Dog. Thank you for saying hi again. Thank you so much for your generous donations. Beamer, where are you, Beamer? Let's see. Oh, cool. Okay, Beamer Geezer, my favorite astronauty. Wow, never been called an astronauty before. That's wow. Thank you. Thank you, Beamer Geezer. Chazzy Mac. Are launch windows variable based on maneuverability of the second stage / payload? ISS missions and some others are 1 second. Others like this are hours. So the launch window is mostly about, you'll see a really small launch window when you're having to line up low Earth orbits normally go by really quickly. So, the Earth spins very quickly, like almost 1,500 or 1,600 kilometers an hour, about 1,000 miles an hour, somewhere around there. And if you have a polar orbit, one that's going straight up and down, the Earth is going to be spinning underneath that bad boy really quickly. So you only have a small amount of time to be able to actually line up with that exact orbit. It's especially true when you're trying to rendezvous with another spacecraft like the International Space Station. Not only are you worrying about just lining up with that orbit, but you're also having to line up with the spacecraft in a certain sense so that you can really be in alignment on that orbit. But even a vehicle like the Atlas V can have some dog legs programmed in. This is something that is unique to the Atlas vehicle. The Atlas can actually, for instance, when the Atlas V launched the Cygnus capsule, so the Atlas V has actually launched some things up to the International Space Station. There's a little bit of a period of time where they were launching Northrop Grumman's upper stage when I am blanking right now. Not Omega. Why can't I think of Northrop Grumman? When the thing was out of order. Oh my God. Why am I blanking right now? Help. Discord, where are you? Anyway, the Atlas V, Antares, thank you. Gosh, total brain fart there. When the Antares had a problem in 2014 or whatever, there was a couple launches with the Atlas V. The Atlas V then was sending some stuff up to the International Space Station. And the Atlas V actually had, I think, a 4-minute launch window because they program every second within those 240 seconds. They basically program if the rocket goes off at this point, it'll go up like this and do this little dogleg maneuver and do that. So as far as your launch windows, it's mostly a criteria of the final destination. So when you're doing things like geostationary orbit, there's a lot more room. There's a lot more wiggle room there. And basically, geostationary orbits don't have that strict of a thing. For some missions like the in-flight abort, when you don't have to rendezvous with anything, when you're just literally launching a capsule up and coming right back down, there is no real launch window other than making sure that you're ranged and make sure there's no planes and boats. Those considerations are in line. But other than that, you can launch that thing anytime. So it's mostly a matter of your destination. That's what contributes to launch windows. Although, again, the Atlas V normally has a wider launch window because they don't have super chilled propellants. They can kind of continually top off and drain and recycle the vehicle over and over. And lots of times they'll have 2 or 4 hour launch windows, whereas the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy do have super chilled propellants. So a lot of times their missions might be more of an instantaneous. Once they start fueling at a certain point, there might be a time where they cannot recycle fast enough and they might not have extra propellants. But anymore, they also are developing launch windows. So that's pretty cool. So hopefully that explains it. Valentin, let's hear.
The team is working an issue associated with a ground hydraulic accumulator fault. They are working through this issue and will establish a new T0 once we have it resolved.
Okay, still on hold. Actually, while we're on hold, guys, I'm going to take a really quick little break. I'm really thirsty. For some reason, my apartment's like the hottest thing in the world. So I'm going to put you guys on a really quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll come right back. We have a lot more questions to answer, and hopefully we'll be that much closer to actually seeing this rocket launch today. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put you guys on my little fun break screen. I'll be right back.
Rocket science, a term we all use to describe something incredibly difficult, and rightfully so. I mean, just look at a rocket engine. Stare at it too long, and your brain might melt. Trying to grasp all the concepts involved in rocket science can be incredibly intimidating, and yet rockets were designed and virtually perfected in an era when computers were the size of a room, and most calculations were done with paper, pencil, and a slide rule.
Touchdown confirmed.
The sheer brilliance of the people who have figured all this stuff out blows my mind. I, on the other hand, am a prolific college dropout. My name's Tim Dodd, but I became known as the Everyday Astronaut when I randomly bought a Russian spacesuit as a joke, took pictures of myself with it in just about every imaginable situation all around the world in a viral photo series. And in the making of that series, I fell head over heels in love with spaceflight and space exploration. When I started the photo series in 2014, I could barely tell you the difference between a space shuttle and a Saturn V, but my appreciation and curiosity for the subject grew into an obsession. Before you knew it, all I wanted to do was learn more and more. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to share what was making me so excited. But as someone who dropped out of college and has no technical background or degree, I really felt unqualified for the job of explaining rocket science to anyone. But the fact of the matter is, if I can learn this stuff, anyone can. So now, through endless curiosity, an absurd amount of questions, and very little sleep, I obsessively strive to actually grasp all the complexities of rocket science.
Yeah, baby!
But this isn't just some basic surface level information we deal with here. Nope, we dive in deep. We get into all the nitty-gritty details that engineers spend years going over. I'll take you behind the scenes of the most exciting missions.
Not a bad sight.
Get up close and personal with the coolest hardware. Talk to the smartest people I can find, and break down incredibly complex topics, because, quite honestly, it's a lot of fun. Besides, with every mission, there's thousands of talented and motivated people working their hardest to ensure mission success. And this truly is the goal of Everyday Astronaut, to cheer on and lift up the people doing the hard work. We're living in exciting times, where the pace of innovation is faster than we've ever seen, where the cost of spaceflight is coming down by orders of magnitude, where the people living today will explore new worlds amongst the stars. The point is, rocket science is awesome, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to be excited. Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people.
Okay, and we are back, and I'm still waiting to hear. There hasn't really been any updates from what I can tell, other than it looks like we went into 360 mode. Thanks, YouTube. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a few more questions to answer. So real quick, just in Discord, we see that someone is asking, hi there, Rad Redstone. The point of the satellite is, this is a communication satellite. This is a very high-end, very, I don't know about fully top secret satellite, but it is definitely one of those satellites, the sixth and final satellite for this advanced extreme. Let's just go to the pre-launch preview, because I'm going to mess this up. I guarantee it. Hang on. And I'm going to open up a new thing here real quick. Okay, here we go. Let's just read through this real quick again. So again, this is the advanced extremely high frequency satellite. So basically it's a super cool let's just read this together. So again, if you want a rundown and you're asking what is on this rocket, any launch coming up, we pretty much always will have. Oh, hang on. They're still trying to troubleshoot. I'm listening right now. Quick. Okay. They're still waiting for a resolution. Okay, so again, if you're trying to figure out like what's launching today, any upcoming launch, even like a week out normally, you can go to everydayastronaut.com, click on the pre-launch preview, and you'll get a rundown on everything that's going to be happening. So this is the 6th Advanced Extreme High Frequency, or AEHF-6, built by Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. Its main goal is to provide a fast, highly reliable, and secure connection for the United States soldiers in all levels of conflict. The backbone of the Department of Defense communications are these satellites. This is basically how you can communicate in certain areas using kind of high fidelity, high frequency, and secure ways for the United States military to be able to communicate. So once they're in orbit, they will be integrated into the MILSTAR, the Military Strategic and Tactical Relay Constellation of military satellites. So there you go. That's what that is, for those of you asking. Now let's go back to the launch. Okay, so hopefully, Chazzy, that answered your question. Valentin, I'm working on a TVC model rocket during lockdown. That's awesome. I assume you're probably watching all of Joe Barnard's awesome videos from BPS Space. If you guys aren't familiar with Joe Barnard and what he's worked on, he started off deciding he was going to try to land a model rocket using propulsive landings, like actually using a solid rocket motor to land. And it's been super fun to see him building everything, literally programming everything all on his own and everything. It's one of my favorite channels, and he's really fun and funny. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for some new content, check out Joe Barnard, BPS Space. Super cool. But Valentin, I'm assuming you're watching all of Joe's stuff right now, because Joe developed his own TVC and everything. So very cool. Very good luck. I hope you learn a lot, and I hope it's a lot of fun. Campbell 300, thank you, but thank you. Caleb Bird, happy self-isolation. Seriously, yeah. Bronzy Dog, good. We answered your question. Thank you. Thanks for saying hi a bunch, and hopefully we answered your question. Yeah, that's good. Enno Nkuo, the video is clipped. Can you resize it in OBS? That might be like if you're watching on an Apple TV and stuff like that. There's sometimes some cropping issues. I'm just it shouldn't be cropped. Is anyone else seeing that problem? Or maybe it is. Hold on. It might be cropped. You might be right. Well, you guys are going to have to see me do this. Then you are right. Look at that. Well, how do I do this in OBS? You're going to see a mess of a thing here, because OBS can't let me like go beyond the canvas. Then I'll have to go like this. And then we'll have to go like this. I doubted you, and you were right. Thank you. See, now we're up to 2 problems in Everyday Astronaut live stream. Like I said, again, this was a brand new setup for me. I had to start basically from scratch. So thank you guys for bearing with me. I did an okay job. I've had a lot worse experiences live streaming. So, and by the way, if those of you that are patrons, you guys probably know, you all know what exactly I'm working on in the background, the secret project. I will have the best live streams I can ever do very soon, and I guarantee it. And I promise that my live streams will be the most exciting, fun way to watch a rocket launch, and they'll only get more exciting, more fun, and higher quality. And I can guarantee that. So, yes, you stand by. If you guys, by the way, I keep mentioning our Discord channel. Our Discord channel is a Patreon exclusive thing. We have an awesome community of really, really active community. So if you're looking for a place to talk rockets, especially if you're, in this time of like more self-isolation, you're looking for people to learn from and talk to and hang out with, I'm in Discord all the time, especially as I'm scripting and researching. So if you guys want to take part in that, go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. Huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys, you are an absolute key part of me being able to do what I do. So huge thank you. We just did a live stream the other day when I set up my new computer. I'll be doing another live stream for commanders, or for pilots actually, and we'll be doing a live stream read of my upcoming script with commanders pretty soon. Hopefully in the next by next week, I'll hopefully be doing a live read through of my script. So especially if you're one of those people that likes to comment on my videos in particular and say like, hey, you forgot about this or this or this, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter, and you can then actually give me feedback live, so I don't have to mess things up when a video comes out. Yeah, that way you get to correct things that would be bugging you in the comment section anyway. So, thank you. All right, Evan. By the way, we do have a tweet from Tori Bruno himself, who's the CEO of ULA. He got on a second ago. Let me just let me do this real quick, just so I don't pop something over here. Let me pull up Twitter real quick, and I'll show you guys. Twitter.com/Tori Bruno. Bringing me some Tori Bruno. Okay, so 2 minutes ago, he is. Okay, so this was 15 minutes ago. One of the things they're waiting on is this, the ground hydraulic accumulator fault. I don't exactly know what that is, but they're working on it. So the vehicle in the rocket, today's rocket, is okay, no big deal. And they're just kind of working on some ground systems. So ground hydraulics accumulator fault, and they are working on it. So hopefully that'll be okay to go. And they'll be able to release again, like I said, they have about an hour and 25 minutes or so left in today's countdown and today's launch window. So hopefully they can. The one thing they can't do when there's things like this, when the vehicle is pressurized for flight, there will be no ground crew running out to the pad to try to fix anything. So it does have to be something that they can fix like remotely, basically. So yeah. So, Evan, does the Centaur put itself into graveyard orbit after payload deployment? Yes. The Centaur. So basically, almost any rocket that does something sends something up to geostationary orbit. As soon as it's done doing that, the upper stage then will get put into what's called a graveyard orbit, and that's something where low Earth orbit they almost always deorbit and will let it burn up and re-enter right away. But otherwise, for rockets, for things going out to geostationary orbit, they normally put it into a graveyard orbit. So they leave just a little extra fuel, and they remove that upper stage from a useful orbit. So it's just kind of off in the middle of nowhere. And I know that's an upcoming video, because I will be doing a video updating you guys, since I did what's the environmental impact of rockets on our air. There's two other parts of that. One of them is going to be like ground and water impact. What happens when a rocket crashes, or even when they launch, all the the fumes and stuff hitting the ground and things like that, but when they crash into the ocean as well. But the other one is space debris. Like, what about all the extra stuff? And really, the graveyard orbit thing, you have to remember how tiny little rocket parts are compared to everything else. Yeah. So it is pretty safe, and statistically basically zero chance of it colliding with anything when they're in those graveyard orbits. So that's what those are. Yeah. I'm way out of order here on Patreon. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question there, Evan. Tyler Haley, submariner. Sorry, autocorrect doesn't like that word. No problem, Tyler. I figured it out. Sorry that I had no idea. Ooh, this is a cool shot. That helicopter must be riding the edge of the exclusion zone. That's super cool. I have never seen this shot before live. That's awesome. And this is, by the way, this is Slick 41, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. You can see the lightning towers there, those 4 white towers. Those are what those will make sure that if there's lightning strikes in the area, which Florida, by the way, is one of the biggest lightning places in the world, those will attract the lightning as opposed to the rocket. That is an upcoming video I want to do too. I've actually shot some of the stuff for it. I constantly have way too many videos in the hopper. Thanks again, Tyler. And thanks for being a submariner. That's crazy. And thanks for the tips. Arvid, do I have enough toilet paper stocked up? I do. I had, if you guys want to know my apocalypse count, I had 4 rolls of toilet paper. And I was able to secure myself 1 more pack of toilet paper. So I should be good. Please don't hoard toilet paper. Just get what's useful for your normal usage. Just don't be dumb, guys. Just use your normal stuff. If everyone just continued about their daily lives and just continued buying things at a normal pace, we wouldn't be having these. Yeah, we wouldn't be having these shortages. So, David, Tori Bruno said an automated red line triggered. Yes, and it sounds like hopefully we'll be able. Again, they have about, hour 20 minutes left in their launch window today. So hopefully here we go. Let's see if there are any updates.
65th launch and the 83rd launch of the Atlas V configuration. Let's take a look at the history of Atlas, which first launched in 1957.
Okay, cool. So they're going to do a history lesson of the Atlas rocket, which, has been around a very, very, very long time. It's one of the most prolific rockets ever. Look at that. That looks like that is the Atlas 3 because it has the RD-180 there. Or wait, it's the inaugural Atlas 5?
2002. It carried with it the dreams and aspirations of thousands of...
That was the first Atlas 5. Oh, that's right. The Atlas 3 still had the shiny-looking first stage tanks. Super cool. Okay, so anyway. Mark, I learned so much from your videos. They're awesome. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching all my stuff and hanging out here with us live. That means a lot. Hope you're doing well. And thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Llama Goat, appreciate the super long videos. As an editor myself, so much time and effort goes into it. Hope all is well. Thank you, Llama. That is one of those things that, honestly, I question a lot because it's an insane amount of work, and I question if it's worth it. So far, just a heads up, I for instance, I pay for subtitles, so especially for Spanish, considering it's one of the most prolific languages. I would love to do Cantonese or Chinese, but unfortunately, I'm guessing that most of my videos can't be viewed in China because of the firewall, so I don't really bother. But I also translate lots of times into Russian, and I translate into Japanese right now because I have a lot of viewers actually in Japan. A lot of people are very interested in Starship in Japan because of the Dear Moon stuff. So I translate all my videos before they even come out. They will come out basically released with foreign subtitles as well. And that actually costs a lot of money to do professionally and to do right. I know there are community ones, and I do accept community subtitles. Thank you for those of you that spend time trying to subtitle a 55-minute long video. But I do pay for professional subtitles, so at release, some other places around the world will have access to that, especially places that might not have, like Germany, for instance, huge audience. German-speaking countries, huge audience there. You guys are awesome. But most of you, there's a lot of you that can already speak and understand English fluently. So the actual German subtitles don't have as big of a reach. So that's kind of my thought there is, Japanese, there's not a lot of English crossover. Spanish, there's not a lot of English crossover per se. And Russian, just because of the spaceflight history and things like that, I love having a Russian audience watch, as they're such a major part of spaceflight. So it's important to me to have them involved as well too. So I question myself, like for instance, my rocket pollution video so far, the ad revenue for the rocket pollution hasn't even made up for the, I worked 6 months on that video, and so far I've lost money because of the subtitles. And I know the subtitles are totally on me. I don't have to do that. And I know that probably eventually people would subtitle them anyway for me for free, but just as a matter of trying to give back to the community, it hasn't even broken even yet. So I questioned the long form videos a lot, and they're hard. It's hard to see like the pollution video hasn't done as well as I hoped it would, considering how much work was involved. And I sit there editing and worrying about every stupid little tiny thing and spend all these time with graphics and animations and stuff. And I like doing that, so I'm not gonna not do it. But I question the long form stuff, but at the same time, like I can't help it. I kind of love doing that. Because I love answering that question for myself. Like the pollution video, a lot of that was I wanted to know. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to learn as much as I could, and I feel like I did learn as much as I could. By the way, I love the Vernier thrusters on the Atlas V rocket. Notice it has those two little flames on the side. That's what provides roll control and a little bit of extra stability. You'll see them go like this, and I just think it's like one of the coolest things ever. So just pay attention to that when we're looking at this historic footage of the Atlas rocket. It's the Vernier thrusters are super cool. They wiggle they can go really quick. Like they can swing so fast. There they are on the sides. How cool is that? They remind me of is it Kylo Ren who has the lightsaber that's kind of flamey looking? For some reason, it just reminds me of that. But yeah, thanks for those of you that do watch my long form videos. That means a lot. So, but yeah, I need to be doing smaller, shorter videos in between the long ones. I'm aware of that. The last time, the reason I had such a big delay between my other videos in December and March was mostly because I got stuck in Florida for extra amount of time. And I've been working on trying to find a place in Florida, and I was catching a lot of rocket launches and working on some other secret projects down in Florida. So I really just didn't have a lot of time to work on the video, and I was still researching and scripting So don't think that the long form videos are taking away from all my other videos. It's just that the last one in particular was extra bad because it took me so long to get it done, considering all the other things. So I definitely want and will have shorter videos. My next video, I promise you, the next video will not be over 30 minutes. That's short for me these days. Jeez. All right. So thank you, Llama. Peter, you need a cooling system for that suit. Would be fun to build a suitcase like one the astronauts carried. I have a few ideas. Peter, I'm just done with that suit, man. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, it was ostracizing. You know, the idea that how many people ever click on a YouTube video and go, hey, that guy's not wearing a spacesuit. Why would I listen to him? But the absolute reverse of that is certainly not 0%. I guarantee there's people that clicked on my old videos where I'm wearing a spacesuit and we're like, why is this idiot wearing pajamas in his bedroom? I'm not going to listen to a word he says, and click out, right? So I'd rather err on the side of being more approachable, more friendly, more just everyday and common than a guy inexplicably wearing a spacesuit. That's what it came down to at the end of the day, and it just sucked to wear. It sucked to wear, and it's not the heat, it's the weight of it, the neck thing, like everything about it sucked to wear. And I won't be putting it back. I haven't even touched it in like 18 months. Literally. So I will not be. It will be in the background of my videos soon. I need to find like a mannequin that's not creepy looking. That's a goal. Maybe it needs to be in like a cool pose or something, or like a baseball bat for some reason or something. I don't know, like something. No, that'd be terribly threatening. What am I talking about? If there's just a person back with maybe not a baseball bat, maybe like something hugging. I don't know. I don't know how you make a mannequin not creepy, but maybe that's what I'll do. Anyway, T minus minus one. What's the payload? Again, if you guys need to know the payload or anything about these rockets, in the link in the description, I have a pre-launch preview that will tell you everything you need to know about this launch. You know, you'll know exactly what the payload is, and I covered it again. Hopefully you have an understanding of what it is. But basically, it's a communication satellite for the U.S. military. Look at that. This is a cool. I have not seen this video. I'm going to have to watch this video all the way through. I love seeing all that historic footage. Super, super cool. Gosh, rockets are so awesome. I think I did see there's a comment coming up. We'll talk about the fact that there's 5 solid rocket boosters. I think someone asked about that. So let me keep going here to try to catch up. Okay. Okay. Where am I? Jeez. Sorry. Sometimes YouTube like gets out of whack and it goes totally out of order. Okay, just a random gamer kid. You think we will ever build a Star Wars-sized ship? I do think so. I think that'll happen this century. I think this century we will see massive-sized ships in space because we'll have brought the cost of space access down by an order of magnitude or more. New economies, I think, will actually be booming in space very soon. I think it's happening. I really, really, truly believe that we're finally catching up to science fiction, you know, and there's a lot of new technologies and a lot of new things driving that new economy and that new capability. So I think that's what's going to happen, and I think we will see potentially huge spacecraft in space. So that's my personal thought. Good question, just a random gamer kid, and thanks for saying hi. Harry May, are you recording Our Ludicrous Future this week? Of course, we recorded that this morning already. For those of you that there was a bunch listening in our Discord channel for Our Ludicrous Future that heard us do it live. Patrons, I think, will gain access. We're working on early access for patrons, but
Time.
Roger. And what is the timing? What's the typical time for every jump? But yeah, go to proceed.
Stand by. Will advise.
Okay, go ahead and proceed, and just looking for when that would be complete.
Roger.
Okay, so they're still working on resetting. I'll listen and let you guys know if there's anything else more. So, yeah, we already did record. For those of you that are not sure what Harry May is talking about, if you want more, that's the other thing, too. A lot of people are like, why haven't we heard from you in months? Like, every week I do a podcast. Every single week. Hold on.
It understands the cause of the hydraulics issue. They are currently working through a solution to the issue. The window today extends to 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time, so we'll continue to work this issue in an effort to establish a new T0.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, so again, if you're one of those people that has ever been like, Tim, where are you? We haven't heard from you in months. No, every single week I talk about spaceflight. I give you the news on space, and I talk about futurism on Our Ludicrous Future. It's a YouTube channel here. It's also a podcast. We get nerdy every single week on fun topics. So if that's you, if you've wanted to see more content of mine or just get more my thoughts on current events, because I don't do current event videos. I don't know if you've noticed, it's been years since I've done like a current event video really. I like to do these dives that get us into some of the little details instead of just a weekly news thing, because the weekly news thing I do every week. So if you are right now watching, get out your phone or whatever, you're on your computer, find Our Ludicrous Future. Hit us a sub, say hi, download it on your podcast player, whatever you want. I like watching it on YouTube because we do put stuff up on the screen sometimes, just the visual reference, but I know that we also do it obviously audio only for those of you that are commuting and things like that. Likely probably not you right now, but now's a good time to maybe hop on over to YouTube. So yeah, thanks for saying hi, Harry May again. Tyler, how does ULA overcome the uneven thrust distribution of those 5 SRBs? I knew I saw that somewhere. Excellent question, Tyler. So you'll notice that there's 5 solid rocket boosters, and they're not, apart, separated. What would that be? Whatever, there's 360 degrees divided by 5. I don't know. You can do the math. And they aren't, what is that, 72 degrees or something apart from each other? Something like that. Yeah, 72 degrees. They aren't, evenly distributed around the booster core, around the diameter. They're kind of like this, 3 here and 2 here. And you might ask, well, Tyler is asking, how do they overcome that? Or sometimes just about a month and a half ago, the Atlas V launched with a single solid rocket booster off to the side. The key is the nozzle is vectored in. The nozzle is pointing asymmetrically through the center of mass of the rocket. So the nozzle on the SRB, even though the SRB is pointing straight up, the nozzle angles out a couple degrees, and that makes sure that the thrust of the nozzle is not pushing straight up, but it's actually pushing in, and that way it lines up with the center of the mass of the rocket. Now there is, of course, because of that, you'll notice that the uneven thrust will kind of push it a little bit sideways. We call that drifting, kind of like a car drifting off, breaking traction, sliding out the rear with some massive Ken Block style oversteer or something, it kind of does a little drift off the pad. Just like the space shuttle had a huge drift because the space shuttle main engines on the orbiter were hung off to the side of the rocket. So the 3 main engines were angled quite a bit in order to line up through the center of the mass of the fuel tank. And in the space shuttle's case, because it changed its mass so much and it had to burn those main engines for over 8 minutes, they had to vector and change the angle of those, continually change the angles of those 3 space shuttle main engines throughout the entire burn. So it continually lined up through the center of the mass of the rocket. Now the Atlas V, those SRBs are only on there for like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and the relative center of mass stays pretty much the same. So the SRBs pretty much just point through the middle, and that offsets that thrust differential, if that makes sense. So therefore, it's not like trying to push it over too much in one way or the other. It might put a little bit of a drift in, but it's very, very, very little in comparison to everything else. Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry, that was a pretty long rant about thrust differential and thrust distribution. Chat W, I'm working on a CubeSat team, and your content inspires me to work harder. I've noticed the increase in production quality recently. Love your channel. Well, thank you, Chet, and good luck with your CubeSat. That is super. I can't believe just like people are just making CubeSats. They're making their own like satellites. I know it's probably a lot more advanced than just getting together with a shoebox. Tori Bruno just said green on Twitter. Looks like we're going to see them come out of their T-minus 4 minute hold. So we're looking to go here pretty soon. Good. But it's just so cool that people are building CubeSats and putting things into space. That's super, super, super cool. But thanks for noticing the increase in production quality. I'm constantly trying to up the game. My new computer, I'm switching to a new workflow. I'm going to be trying to edit with DaVinci Resolve as opposed to Premiere. It's going to be a big change, but that way it will utilize my 192 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of video and 16 cores of CPU, and might actually utilize my resources, especially since I've been working in a ProRes workflow for some time. Resolve is definitely the right answer for me. So I'm really excited to go to that workflow, speed up my export times. Today, I exported a 90-minute WAV file in like 3 seconds, and it was so great. I was so excited. So I can't wait to start going to something that will actually utilize my computer's resources and hopefully get videos out a lot quicker. So always trying to improve, always trying to upgrade. All right. Spiral Beard Productions. We must also thank truck drivers. Yes, stuff just don't appear out of nowhere. You are great, Tim. You are absolutely right. Spiral Beard Productions. Yeah, truck drivers and the transportation industry, the shipping and hauling, the literal backbone of our economy and our society. So, yeah, truck drivers is a big one that we can easily forget about. So, that is thank you for reminding me. And yeah, everyone thank a truck driver, because that is a huge key of our lifestyle right now, especially. It's either Iowan or Lone Azanov. Sorry if you've answered this already, but why are the SRBs not equally distributed along the body of the rocket? So I answered just a minute ago, like you heard, hopefully, about why they're, the differential of 3 versus 2. But the reason that they're not equally distributed is the exterior piping. There's those raceways along the rocket that are pretty big, and they have pretty massive covers. And so ULA, when they decided to, well, actually it was, when ULA basically decided that the Atlas V was going to, as they're building it, they figured the easiest thing they could do was have the SRBs be attached on certain attachment points as opposed to equally distributed around. Distributed, that's hard for me to say. Distributed instead of distributed. I don't know. Distributed around to avoid the raceways, to avoid some of the other structural things of the rocket. They just decided to pretty much put them on the sides, regardless if there's 1 or 5 SRBs or no SRBs. Hopefully that answers your question. Armin24, thank you. Evan, this community is amazing. I love how supportive everyone is, and I'm so glad I found your channel. You renewed my interest in space, which died off after the final flight of the space shuttle. I look forward to your next Patreon live stream. Well, thank you so much, Evan. Geez, thank you. Seriously, that's insanely generous of you, and I can't tell you. I know we talk about this quite a bit on our Loaded Cruise Future, and I apologize that it comes up, but the internet is such a sad place, and there's so much negativity, and there's just I know it's really dumb and it's really petty, and to someone that doesn't spend 6 months of your life working on a project, and then have it be publicly commented on. I know the answer is don't read the comments, but I read the comments so I can get a sense of how my video was received. If people liked this or that, the feedback loop for me is how I hone in my videos, how I make a better product for you guys. So I think it's important to stay on top of the comments enough to know if I'm doing good or bad, and when you hear just mean comments, I know it's so dumb, but working on something for 6 months, then having people point out something very, very silly, like my pants in the last video. Sorry that I had holes in my pants, everyone. I know it's dumb, and I know I shouldn't care, but it does kind of sting. I know it's really stupid. I'm sorry that I'm so sensitive. Ooh. But that is what I love about the spaceflight community, is that all of us, I don't care, as long as you support the idea of exploring space, we're all in this together. There's different modes of transportation, there's different ideas and philosophies, but the cool thing is humans exploring space is something that we all do together. Kind of like right now, we're all experiencing something on a human scale for one of the first times, at least in my lifetime, where everyone around the world is affected by the same thing at the same time. Otherwise, for instance, let's say in the United States, 9/11, that affected Americans pretty heavily. There's other tragedies around the world that affect a country or a community or a certain area of people. But for me in the United States, the 9/11 was kind of one of those boom, one of those moments that we all remember, and the United States kind of had this sense of something together in that time. But now humans on this little tiny ball in space are all experiencing something together with the happening, I'm going to call it. And it reminds you how fragile and how we are all together. And that's what spaceflight is. Spaceflight is literally humans leaving our little place. It's leaving our one home that we all share. We all share Earth. There's no borders. When you're in space, they talk about that all the time. It's I just think, I don't know. There's something very beautiful about that. And I love the spaceflight community. And thank you, Evan, for saying that. That really means a lot. Sorry that was a long rant. But I'm all team space and being positive and trying to keep that in perspective of how important coming together and exploring together really is. Shannon Taylor, we are in a minimum 4-week lockdown in New Zealand. Going to watch a lot of both your videos. And Scott Manley, yes, absolutely. when I'm not truck driving. Very cool, Shannon. I'm not cool that there's a lockdown, trust me, but this is a good time to do some things that you might not have had time to do before. So thank you, Shannon. Good luck in beautiful New Zealand. I can't wait to go back to New Zealand. It's one of my absolute favorite places I've ever been. Stunning. And the people are so nice. I don't know what it is about New Zealand. Everyone's so chill and just like, yeah, let's do this. It's super cool. I love it. Highly recommend it. But yeah, and I love Scott Manley's videos are incredible. If you are looking for more spaceflight content, I can't recommend Scott Manley enough. He's absolutely brilliant. Greg Pirelli, why are they only using the single engine Centaur? Could the dual work with for I'm thinking you meant SRBs. I'm guessing that your autocorrect changed it to RBs. Could the dual work with, say, 4 SRBs, or are you way off? So, Greg, the RL-10 engine is like $10 million or something like that. It's very expensive. A dual Centaur upper stage, actually, an RL-10 might be way more than 10. It might be like 20 or 30 million. It's a very expensive engine, and it's way cheaper to throw on a solid rocket motor than it is to have a dual engine Centaur. And you take more of a payload mass penalty because if you can put something into space with only one engine and that thrust works, otherwise you're having to lug around the weight of the second engine. So you actually get more delta V out of the rocket when you only need a single RL-10 compared to having 2 engines on that same upper stage. Your mass fractions are a lot better with a single Centaur upper, or with a single RL-10 Centaur upper stage. So that's why we pretty much always see the Atlas V launching with only a single RL-10. And that's also why the first stage burns for like 4 minutes, does a lot of the lifting, a lot of the heavy work, because the RL-10 is a very weak engine. Well, weak is a relative term, but it's kind of underpowered. Its thrust to weight ratio on the Centaur upper stage is very low. So it takes it a while to get itself into space and actually get itself into orbit, not into space, but get itself into orbit, because then once it detaches, it burns for a long, long time. And but it does so very effectively. It's very efficient, high specific impulse, over 450 seconds of specific impulse. I think the RL-10 10 or 2B, the one with the extending nozzle that's on the Delta IV, has, I think that's like 470 seconds or something. 25 million. There we go. There's one of the reasons. 38 million. We'll say probably over 20 million for that RL-10 engine. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll say even if it's 10 million. I'm sure that's why I know dual engine Centaurs, unless it's absolutely necessary for your flight profile, like when they're going to be launching humans on top of the Atlas V N22 variant for Starliner coming up hopefully soon. Hopefully this year maybe. You'll see that does have the dual engine Centaur, because it needs to fly a flight profile where the upper stage needs to fly a little bit less lofted and have, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, Aerospace Engineer, thank you for the membership, and same with Etor. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Lithium Battery Company, love your videos. Thank you for what you do. Jeez. Thank you so much to Lithium Battery Company. That's awesome. That's very generous of a company to send me a thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. Everyone say thank you to Lithium Battery Company. Wow. Thank you. That helps a lot right now. I think we all are feeling that, a little bit of that crunch right now. So thank you. Norm Mulliman, thoughts on Boeing's software woes, STS, CST-100, etc. Yeah. Again, I talk about this quite a bit on our Ludicrous Future podcast. For me, there needs to be some kind of, hopefully the new CEO and some new management at Boeing really helps address some of these terrifying issues, because clearly something's not working right, and they need to rethink and redo and restructure some things in order to properly manage the programs that they're running. That's really all there is to it. And hopefully, it sounds like they're under a lot of pressure. Hopefully Congress and the taxpayers and the public opinion and the company itself really starts to hold themselves a lot more responsible for some of these things, and come up with a way to be able to do things safer and more robust. And hopefully it makes for a more reliable airplanes, makes for more reliable rockets and spacecraft. And hopefully it's a nice swift kick in the pants that is needed before more tragedy strikes, especially when we're talking about human spaceflight. The failures of OFT-1, the Starliner capsule, hopefully kicked a lot of things into gear that needed to happen in order to really keep crew safe. So I'm hoping they're taking this time to really, really reset, rethink, and reinvest in safety and in testing and in their systems. Yeah. So that's my thoughts. I think it's time to step up, or no longer be building stuff. And by the way, I want to say that any company has the ability to change. So keep that in mind, that and a company is more than just a brand. A company is individuals, and there's individuals that might work really hard that had nothing to do with the failures, that are trying their best, that are working the hardest. If you know someone that works at Boeing, don't, or any company that maybe has some public woes and things that went wrong, it's not necessarily just those individuals. There's a lot more to it. So remember to not put blame on, on people working their hardest, doing the best job they can. Sometimes it's just the structure that they're working in can be bad. So let's see. Prodigal Sons. Man, I'm gonna have to take another break and drink more water. I had already talked so long for our Little Crew's future, and now this. I'm gonna hate talking here in a second. Prodigal Sons, another Starman hoodie run, please, pretty please. No, we're not doing another Starman hoodie run, unfortunately. At least it won't be the actual. I will tell you, we will do like a tweak on Starman hoodie and make kind of a simpler version of it someday. We're working on 2 awesome upcoming hoodies that are like super, super, super cool. I promise they'll actually be a lot cooler than Starman, and they'll be a lot more affordable, because those Starman hoodies were the biggest nightmare in the world and way too expensive for me even, and especially for you guys as well. So yeah, well, this is nuts. But the key is I'll have some new things, and there will be a Starman themed hoodie in the future that'll be a lot simpler, cheaper, and still really cool, but it just won't be as detailed and ridiculous as the original Starman hoodies. But yeah, thank you though, Prodigal Sons. Stay tuned, because I promise we will have some incredible merchandise coming out that I can't wait for you to see. And we'll finally have Patreon exclusive like member patches that will go on a certain exclusive item that's upcoming. So that'll be really cool. So that way you can wear your pilot patch, your commander patch, your mission specialist patch. That will be only accessible as patrons. It'll be very, very, very cool. Aerospace Engineer, can Discord be member perks too? We're working on that, actually. I have to wait for one more integration and a way to be able to match the tiers between YouTube memberships and Patreon memberships. Once that's integrated, and I can't do things that are manual. It just takes way too much time. So I have to have this integration to be able to match the tiers in Patreon. And then hopefully we'll be able to make it so that the tiers and member tiers in YouTube match that of Patreon. So for now, I'm still just continuing to only use Patreon. And YouTube takes a lot bigger cut than Patreon. So if you guys are debating between memberships and Patreon to support your favorite creators, just simply for the cut that Patreon takes versus the cut that YouTube takes, more of it will go to your creator if you're using Patreon. So just keep that in mind. I mean, it's, again, none of that stuff is necessary. There's a reason why I don't, everything is free for you guys to be able to watch at any time, obviously. But those of you that can, it's always awesome when people are able to support their favorite creators, because that's what makes it happen. AMG Wagon, update on my Model 3 issues. I talked about it last week on Our Ludicrous Future. This week, I actually didn't talk about it this week, but I did have a tech come out yesterday and totally reset my computer again, and hopefully it's fixed now. I haven't really had time to drive it, but let's hear about it real quick. Hang on. What's going on here? I need a break from talking.
Go ahead, this is Flight Control.
Flight Control, we've been directed to load a new address file. Do you have that file ready for load?
Yes, I do.
Okay, for Operation 60, Step 170, you can give me the file name and you can proceed with load.
I'm sorry, can you say again, Launch Connect?
Yeah, I just need the address file name, and then you can proceed with it.
Yeah, it's address _ AV086 _ 06.
Roger, 06, proceed.
Hopefully they're getting close to loading up a new T0. So for those of you just tuning in, we are in a hold waiting for them to, they had a ground systems problem with a hydraulic system. They're working on a new T0 time, and they will be hopefully launching this rocket here relatively soon. I'm guessing hopefully in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah. As soon as I know, I'll let you know, and we'll see that clock start moving here once we do know for sure. So yeah, AMG Wagon, I don't really know. Hopefully everything's worked out now that the tech came out and hopefully took care of the battery issue. Endorsu, watching this at the Blue Origin in Florida, great view. That is super cool. On top of that building, I found out you have to be 80 feet up, which is, 25 meters up in order to really be able to see clear of all the trees out at the Cape, to be able to see all the launch pads. You have to get all the way up to about 80 feet before you can see everything. So Blue Origin's factory is over 100 feet at one point on the roof. You can actually clearly see all the towers. Awesome view. The employees have there's a huge deck and a balcony. They can watch and have one of the best views on the Cape at their factory, and had the factory there, right there, just literally outside of the gate of Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex is where that is. But the cool thing is, because it's elevated, pretty birds. Because it's an elevated view, they can see all the pads, and it is absolutely amazing. So, yeah, congrats on your job at Blue Origin, and hopefully you have an awesome view for today's launch. And Kokyu again, if you're sticking with OBS for a while more, I recommend the studio mode. I've never touched studio mode. Oh man, are you suggesting that I introduce more variables? I probably should do studio mode, because I think that's where you can make tweaks and then hit go or whatever. I know, I probably need to start doing that. I'll play around with that, and I'll see if I can get comfortable with it, and maybe we'll do that for the next time. So thanks for the tip. I will look into it. Simon W., thank you. Philippe Paris Braz, is there another way to access the Discord server? I don't use Patreon and would love to support you in another way. Like I said, Philippe, I'm working on membership. I'll probably work on that. I'll see if I can get a new thing for that. Hang on. Hold on.
@just_AV086_06 with SDLCRC Delta Foxtrot Charlie has been verified and loaded into the Inca.
Roger.
Okay, cool. Don't know what that means, but hopefully I'm making progress. Oh. Hang on.
LDM1.
I'll make sure you heard we have the address loaded. SDLCRC Delta Foxtrot Charlie.
Copy that, thank you.
Okay, looks like they're making progress still. But Philippe, hopefully I answered that question. I will get it more integrated in the future. Give me a little bit of time, and because I'm actually I was talking, this is a while ago now, this is 3 months ago, I was talking to YouTube creator studio stuff and the people there to be able to do some tighter integrations that are more automated, because I can't stay on top of all that other stuff. Hold on.
The launch team completed procedures to back out of the partially completed terminal count. We're waiting on resolution of the issue that caused the hold before a new launch time can be determined. After that point, we will reconduct the launch readiness poll at L-7 minutes and continue through the launch count as normal. So we'll just wait for the team to finish up resolving that issue, and we'll have a new T0 shortly.
So I forgot this. I need some more water for myself. I need to take a real quick break again. I'm dying. I've been talking way too much today already because of the recording of the podcast and things like that. So give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to take a really quick break, but don't go anywhere, because I think we're actually close to seeing it launch. So I'll be right back.
Rocket science, a term we all use to describe something incredibly difficult. And rightfully so. I mean, just look at a rocket engine. Stare at it too long, and your brain might melt. Trying to grasp all the concepts involved in rocket science can be incredibly intimidating, and yet rockets were designed and virtually perfected in an era when computers were the size of a room, and most calculations were done with paper, pencil, and a slide rule.
Touchdown confirmed.
The sheer brilliance of the people who have figured all this stuff out blows my mind. I, on the other hand, am a prolific college dropout. My name's Tim Dodd, but I became known as the Everyday Astronaut when I randomly bought a Russian spacesuit as a joke, took pictures of myself with it in just about every imaginable situation all around the world in a viral photo series. And in the making of that series, I fell head over heels in love with spaceflight and space exploration. When I started the photo series in 2014, I could barely tell you the difference between a space shuttle and a Saturn V, but my appreciation and curiosity for the subject grew into an obsession. Before you knew it, all I wanted to do was learn more and more. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to share what was making me so excited. But as someone who dropped out of college and has no technical background or degree, I really felt unqualified for the job of explaining rocket science to anyone. But the fact of the matter is, if I can learn this stuff, anyone can. So now, through endless curiosity, an absurd amount of questions, and very little sleep, I obsessively strive to actually grasp all the complexities of rocket science.
Yeah, baby!
But this isn't just some basic surface level information we deal with here. Nope, we dive in deep. We get into all the nitty gritty details that engineers spend years going over.
Okay, we just got word really quick that they are working on a new T0 time, and it sounds like Tori Bruno basically said just a second ago on Twitter that they are good to go. Looks like we have a new solution. Stand by. So hopefully we're still going to see this baby go off today. So again, Tori Bruno, the CEO of United Launch Alliance.
And for the team on Net 1, we'll pick up Operation 80 Step 330 when we get new T0 direction.
Okay, so they're still working on a new T0. But I did want to remind you guys here, someone was asking if we still have the discount code. I do a thing. I forgot to wear the right shirt. But today, I'm still selling. We still have some leftover Aerospike t-shirts. 10% off today if you use the coupon code launch day. All one word, lowercase. You can get 10% off on top of the already discounted Aerospike t-shirt because we did, by accident, way too big of a run. Like, almost an order of magnitude too big of a run on these shirts. So we had way too many of them. They are one of my favorite shirts though. So if you want, and again, we do hand printed, hand sewn, manually fulfilled, totally custom shirts. So these are not print on demand. So we have inventory. Hold on. They're giving us an update.
The ignition SNA switch in the enable position.
SRB switch in the enable position.
Blocks 2, verify CISC purge flowing GN2 to the CISA.
Verified.
OSM, verify the FCO, RCO, and OSM hold fire switches are in the proceed position.
Verified.
RLM, verify red line monitor event table are in the correct configuration for terminal count.
T-minus 9 minutes.
Verified. Flight control, perform launch on time verification.
Roger.
LC, ALC.
Go ALC.
Countdown clock has been set for new T0 of 20:18 Zulu.
So 9 minutes.
This is Atlas Mission Control. The launch team has coordinated a new T0 of 4:18 p.m. Eastern Time.
Cool. So T-minus 9 minutes. Yeah. So that's good. So we'll see them come out of the hold here in the next little bit in about 4 minutes from now. So they're going to be doing a little bit more chatter here. And I'll get back to telling you guys about this later because we'll listen in now that we actually have some stuff to talk about.
The L clock, T0 has been coordinated.
Minus 8 minutes.
Launch
Sweet.
on time verified.
Roger. LC switch to the ready position. All personnel return to the L-7 status check, Op 60, Step 210, page 129.
All right. So I'll get back to you guys' questions here.
In a few moments, launch conductor Scott Barney will poll the launch team for the final go to pick up the countdown. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Scott Barney performs the final polling of the launch team.
Here we go. Hopefully we hear that. I am gonna retweet our launch time, the new launch time.
L minus 7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion. Go. Hydraulics. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LO2. Go. Water. Go. Centaur systems, propulsion. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Asgas. Go. Electrical systems, airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
Operations support.
Go.
Com.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Redline monitor. Go. Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
2 polls in one day. I like that.
ALC. Verified T0 is set for 2018 Zulu.
Verified.
Proceeding with the count.
All right, we're back on. Here we go. We'll see that clock start moving here in about 2 minutes. But that is awesome. I'll answer a few more
Polling is
questions.
complete,
Oh,
and the launch team has given the go for launch. So again, we'll talk about what you'll hear from T-minus 4 minutes until launch. You'll be listening to Scott Barney and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure.
okay. Yeah, we did already hear that, so we'll listen into the at T-4. But let's keep answering some of your questions. Matt Jono 2. I'm stuck in a very British lockdown and out of things to do except watching Deep Space Nine and watching your streams. Hey, that's awesome. Thank you, Matt Jono, and good luck during the lockdown here. But hopefully, the good thing is there's still a lot of YouTubers, a lot of content creators making new content. Like I said, we'll probably be doing another live stream here soon, teaching a ground, like page 1 reset of if you're playing Kerbal Space Program for the first time. So stand by. I'll be doing some more live streams for you, even though there won't be any upcoming rocket launches. But I will have some more videos coming out too, and some shorter ones that I can get out with more frequency, I promise. Except for I'm going to be learning a new software suite. So it might take me a little bit longer, but hopefully it's not terribly long. So thanks. Arvid, did you see the Smarter Everyday video where he walks around at the ULA's factory with Tori Bruno? Absolutely, 100%. I even talked about it earlier a little bit. If you haven't seen Tori Bruno hanging out with Destin from Smarter Everyday at the ULA factory, you have to watch that video. It is amazing. I love that video. So cool. See, literally getting hands-on with some of the pieces of the rockets. It's amazing. It's really cool. You realize how bespoke the rockets are. Here we go.
One.
We're going to
Mark.
This is the terminal count. So now we're at T-4. That wasn't the final countdown. So now we're targeting 4 minutes again. I'll answer a few more of you guys' questions, but I'm going to be quiet at about T-2 minutes or 2 minutes and 1.5 minutes. So great question, Arvid. Definitely check that video out. Jalen Duncan, would Starship be taller than the Lightning Tower? Yes. Starship full stack would probably be taller than these Lightning Towers. Someone asked about that a second ago. The 4 white towers you see, those are Lightning Towers. We mentioned them a little bit ago. That is so that if lightning were to strike, those will be better grounded than the rocket and attract the lightning more than the rocket does. So that's why you see those launch towers, especially Slick 40, Slick 41, both have very obvious launch towers like that. 39A only has a single one on top of the fixed service structure. But the Starship, they'll probably need a different lightning mitigation system or something like that, because I'm guessing Starship will be, I don't know. We'll have to see. It likely will need a different lightning mitigation system eventually. So, yeah. Tainuo. Hey, Tim, just wanted to say thank you. Thanks for your brilliant coverage of the space industry, and thanks for reigniting the community's passion for space, including my own. Here's to the future and an awesome launch. Thank you so much. That is very generous, and I really appreciate the encouragement. I know it seems so silly, but it really does make a difference. So you guys, I love the community. I love our Discord and the interactions here with the subs and everything. You guys are awesome, and you make this job it's way more than a job for me. It's an absolute passion and excitement, and you guys keep it that way. You help me stay positive and just really appreciate all the fun things. I love seeing your questions. It helps me remember. exactly, what we need to focus on, how we do better outreach, how we teach people about what's going on. So thank you guys for everything that you guys do too. So let's see, we are T-minus 2 minutes. Let's listen in here the last 2 minutes. I'll answer the rest of your guys' questions. I didn't forget about you. I'll be coming back around. Don't you worry.
LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch enabled.
137.
STS armed.
T-minus 90 seconds. The
we
launch
go.
vehicle, payload, ground systems, and eastern range are go for launch.
Okay, here we go.
T-minus 1 minute 20 seconds.
OCU's armed. SCS count start.
115.
Reduce ECS for launch.
Roger.
Soak it in,
110.
guys. Might be the last
Locked.
launch for a month or two.
T-minus 1 minute.
T-minus 1 minute.
Report range status.
Range green.
Good. There's no planes or boats out there in the path of the vehicle. It's looking good, guys. Soak it in, everyone. Deep breath. This is going to be a good one.
40 seconds.
Stable at step 3.
T-minus 28 seconds.
ECS reduced for launch. Roger.
25 seconds.
Status check.
Go Atlas.
Go Centaur.
Go AEHF6.
Sweet. Good. Okay.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We have ignition
Yes.
and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket with AEHF-6 on the first mission for the United States Space Force.
That 551 shoots off the pad so fast with those solid rocket boosters.
Seconds to flight. PU is on a closed loop control.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
The RD-180 is throttling down to 67% thrust as expected. Engine response looks good.
Throttling down already.
Passing 30 seconds into flight.
Wild.
35 seconds into flight. Mach 1 Atlas V is now supersonic. Engine operating parameters look nominal.
It's a thing sticking off the fairing. I've never noticed that before.
Passing 45 seconds into flight. Passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. The RD-180 is throttling back up to 94% as expected. Engine response looks good. Coming up on 1 minute into flight, SRB chamber pressures remain nominal at this time. The vehicle is 10 miles in altitude, 6 miles downrange, traveling at 2,300 miles per hour.
Wow. So that's 3,500 kilometers an hour already. This thing is scooting.
75 seconds into flight, the RD-180 is throttling to 75% thrust as expected, standing by for SRB burnout shortly. And we have burnout on all 5 SRBs. The RD-180 is being throttled back up to full thrust following SRB burnout. Standing by for SRB jettison shortly.
Okay. Crazy that they hold on to him for a little bit longer. I'll tell you
We
why
have
in a
jettison
second.
of all 5 SRBs. The vehicle has gone to closed loop guidance.
Sweet. I love that shot.
Passing 2 minutes into flight, the RD-180 pump speed and fuel injector pressures remain nominal. PU continues to drive mass errors towards 0. The vehicle is now 40 miles in altitude, 56 miles downrange, traveling at 5,000 miles per hour.
8,000 kilometers an hour, basically. You can see the exhaust is expanded.
Coming up on
because
2.5
it's
minutes into flight, approximately 2 minutes left until pico.
so crazy. This center core, the main core, burns for so long.
And the RD-180 is now throttling to maintain a constant 2.5 G acceleration, and the Centaur reaction control system is now pressurizing to flight levels.
something I've learned since the pollution video is that you'll notice the soot stays sooty in the upper atmosphere because it's not in the troposphere. It's not
Vehicle body
where
rates remain nominal at this point.
there's
in
no
flight,
longer
and
oxygen
TU
to help
continues
ignite it and
operate
make it really
nominally as
bright.
well.
So the exhaust ends up being a lot more clear, and you just see the
vehicle is now
soot.
65 miles in altitude, 140 miles downrange, traveling at 7,500 miles per hour.
The carbon is unburnt. The black carbon is unburnt, and you can actually see it come
Standing
out
by
now.
for
Even though
payload fairing
this is a closed loop engine, there is no gas generator on this. It's closed cycle, and it's actually an oxygen-rich closed cycle. Oh, there goes the fairings. That's
and
so
we have
cool.
good indication of payload fairing jettison. And we have Centaur forward load reactor deck jettison. Pico is in approximately 1 minute.
I love that they detach
The
the fairings
RD-180 is throttling back up to 95% thrust as expected.
while the
Engine
first
response
stage,
continues
while
to
they're
look
still
good.
attached to the first stage. That's so cool. Gives you a sense of how big and flexible those fairings are. But yeah, don't forget the RD-180. It's oxygen rich on the pre-burner, but the overall combustion of
RD-180
the
is
main
now
engine
throttling to
is still
maintain a
fuel
constant
rich, as
fuel
basically all engines run fuel rich. It's lighter weight molecule than oxygen, so you can eject it faster and therefore actually get more specific impulse.
Standing by for Pico shortly. We have the end of boost phase chill down.
I know there's going to be people asking why they go to a CGI rocket at this point. It's because it's literally out of range of cameras. It's downrange. It's just out of view. But this is a way that it's real-time telemetry, so it's matching up with what's actually happening. And yeah, for instance, if you have questions about this, and if you're in the right place on Earth, you'll be able to still see the upper stage burning later on as it passes over.
Centaur body rates at the beginning of the burn. Congratulations to the Aerojet Rocketdyne team, RL-10 team, as today's mission marks the flight of the 500th production RL-10 engine.
Wow, 500th.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T plus 5 minutes 9 seconds. Jesse Gonzalez just confirmed the successful completion of the early phase of today's flight, and all systems continue to operate nominally. The mission is currently in the first of 3 Centaur engine burns. Our next event, Centaur main engine cutoff, will occur in approximately 6 minutes.
Sweet. It's crazy that they still have 6 more minutes.
Earlier this week, I had the opportunity to hear from General J.T. Thompson regarding the tireless work his team puts into getting national security missions in space. Let's take a look at what he had to say. General Thompson, thank you so much for joining.
Dang it. I like learning there. That's too bad that they don't give us the telemetry anymore. So, yeah, so the thing that we were talking about there with the RD-180, yeah, it does run the actual main combustion in the engine, runs fuel rich. It's oxygen rich, oxidizer rich in the in the pre-burner only, which is unique for an RP1 engine. That's something that basically up until now only Russia and prior the Soviet Union had figured out how to make an oxygen-rich pre-burner cycle. It's again, I talk about that quite a bit in the video about Raptor engines, but the coolest thing is now we're finally starting to see, for instance, right now the BE4 made by Blue Origin will also be oxygen-rich, but it won't be RP1 oxygen-rich, it'll be methane oxygen-rich, and that'll be flying on Vulcan, on ULA's upcoming Vulcan rocket as well. So it's a very cool engine. I'm really excited to see that thing going on. So they will show us the deployment of the CubeSats, and then I think their broadcast will end. Again, I will have some more questions to answer for you guys, such as Sharquisha. Have I heard of Arca Space? If so, what do you think of them? I think their steam rocket first stage is a pretty neat idea myself. I have some opinions about Arca. I've talked about them a little bit. I've talked about them in the Aerospike video. I've talked about them in the SSTO video that I made a while ago. I don't know if I approve of the steam rocket. It's actually a very horribly poor efficiency. A steam rocket likely won't produce hardly any work. As a matter of fact, if you burnt just the lithium ion batteries, the actual batteries that you need to create the onboard in order to create enough steam, you'd get more energy just from burning the lithium ion batteries than you would from using the lithium ion batteries to heat up water and turning it into steam. I'm not entirely sure I approve of, not that I don't approve, I just don't know if all the things that Arca is working on is worthwhile. But I'd love to be proven wrong. It's just that so far it's been like they've been a company for 10 or some years or something. And there's very little publicly of what they're actually like of actual progress. But please prove me wrong, Arca. I want everyone in space to be able to succeed, and I'm excited about the idea, especially the prospect of potentially using the aerospike would be very cool. But I just don't know if their system is ever going to be doing what I think we hope it to be doing. Albert, I had no clue what those white towers are for. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad you tuned in and people were asking. Rafael De Palma, go Tim, can't wait for the 3rd episode of Pollution. Yeah, it'll be a while because I've got some other videos to catch up on for sure. Bronzy Dog 76, you should translate to Hebrew. It's not that common of a language. So I basically just go down the list of common languages. But Hebrew could be one of those. I might look into that. And again, the community, if you speak Hebrew, you can do translations in the community tab if that's something you're interested in. Jason, thank you for the membership. Nick, let's see, where did that go? It did that thing where it shoots out of order. Where are we? I totally lost it. It's like way out of order now. Nick, KSP on Steam free this weekend, then $10 to keep. I did not know that. There you go. So if you're looking for something to do and you're bored, Kerbal Space Program is currently free on Steam this weekend, and then it will be $10 to keep, which is a great deal. And Kerbal Space Program 2 is coming out soon. So now's a good time to get in there and burn up all of your free time. All of your free time will be burnt up. Chris, thank you. Robirat, due to human malware, all vids lately have done very bad. You'll make up in the long term. It's an awesome video. Thank you. I hope so, because that was way too much work for that stupid pollution video. Yeah, thank you. Aerospace engineer, say my name. Aerospace engineer. There you go. Mark Morgan, get a hold of Adam Savage to make a stand for the suit. I'll bet he'd be excited to help. I don't want to just reach out to Adam Savage and make him build me something. I wanted to have Mark Rober help me build a robotic tilting pad camera that would track a rocket and compete and see if he can beat Ryan Chelinsky of Cosmic Perspective. But I've realized it's kind of weird to be like, hey man, build me something. You know, I don't know. I just think that seems a little bit silly. Aerospace engineer Discord access for channel members, working on it. Like I said, Brandon, have you considered editing and uploading short clips from long form videos? Some would need the entire context to make sense, but maybe a possibility. I used to cut up videos into shorter clips and do things like that. I just would rather, like, here's the thing. I spend a lot of time making sure that we provide the context and go through a whole story. It's a fun learning process. Yes, my channel might grow quicker or have more views and I might make more money if I cut things up. But I actually think it's important that people have all the fun little tidbits and have the context and have those story arcs so that by the end of the video, they're don't have gaps in their knowledge that might exist if you cut the video up into parts and if you cut little clips up. So I think it's worth it to do the long form videos. I really like the long form videos. And the retention rate's there. People also seem to like. The good thing is you can always pause a long video. You can come back to it. But at least I know I did my best to put it all out on a coherent timeline for you. Okay, here we go.
Let's listen in to Jesse Gonzalez once again.
And coming up on MECO, we have had PU go to closed loop control, and we've had main engine cutoff. Engine cutoff pressure signatures look good. Centaur will coast for approximately 11 minutes prior to the next burn.
Sweet.
Near the end of the first burn, we did have IIP vanish, and Centaur is now orbital.
That's awesome.
The RCS system is now commanding 100% settling and turning to the MES-2 attitude. Body rates and RCS performance looks good.
Okay.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T plus 12 minutes, 28 seconds. Jesse Gonzalez just confirmed the first Centaur main engine cutoff. Our next event, main engine burn 2, will occur in approximately 10 minutes.
That's awesome. Okay, so we have about 10 more minutes before they do the next engine burn. Renau, thank you. And hi, Renau. Good to see you. Thanks for saying hi, and thanks for the generous tip. You're awesome. Stuart, you're a truck driver, and thank you all. Well, again, thank you. That is awesome. We really, really, really appreciate keeping the world's economy going right now. Epic Despacito Gamer. There we go. I know I can speak Spanishly good. I'm out here under a bridge right now. I really hope this launches today. If not, when do you think the next window? Well, luckily we don't even have to worry about that. But thank you for giving me your survey money. Apparently, was YouTube giving out $5 tips for surveys? That's awesome. Thank you very much. And luckily, it looks like you got to launch. I think their backup opportunity likely would have been tomorrow. Don't even have to worry about that now. So thank you. Thomas Branch, thanks for all you do to educate us on spaceflight. It's so much fun being a spectator these days. You are right. This is honestly a huge time to be able to actually watch launches. I mean, there are some exciting missions on the future. We're going to be going back to the moon relatively soon, which is, of course, unbelievably exciting. And there's just a lot of cool things happening. You know, Starship development's absolutely wild. SLS has enough hardware for almost 3 launches already. We're coming up on the times that I've been waiting for years. I started really paying attention in 2013, and so many of the things that I thought were right around the corner are literally finally like around the corner, and it's super, super, super cool. So someone else, we got cut off before. Again, so I'll get back into this real quick before we continue. But today, so for the next 24 hours, if you use the coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, lowercase, you can take 10% off the Aerospec t-shirt on top of the already $6 off. So you can get it for even cheaper than ever. This will end next week, though. So if you guys want a chance to get some awesome merchandise, go to everydayastronaut.com/shop. We have some cool stuff, really cool stuff. And by popular demand, we now sell a normal t-shirt. You can grab that. But this is still one of my all-time favorite shirts. But of course, the ultimate favorite shirt, and by you guys as well, and of course by Elon Musk, is the full flow stage combustion cycle shirt. Yes, this is a real photograph. And yes, it is apparently one of his favorite t-shirts. So if you guys want some awesome merchandise, or if you want some good discounts and sales, you can go to the rapid unscheduled discount section, where you can get, we're totally sold out of the science, but I think we still have a few more of these if you want a shirt for extra cheap. Everydayastronaut.com/shop. And again, coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, lowercase. Put that in that when you're checking out, to get 10% off the Aerospike engine t-shirt. And remember, all these shirts do have really cool hand sewn on, like, extra tags and stuff. Yeah, so that's a fun way to be able to support what I do. But everydayastronaut.com/shop. Thank you guys for doing that. You guys are awesome. Let's get back to a couple of your questions. Andres, thank you. Probably Andres, sure. Thank you. Tom Hoyt, thank you. Ice Wolf, you need to put a gold club in the suits. Yes, I do. That'd be awesome. Michelle, thanks for the membership. David Plant, might have touched on it, but what are my thoughts on the Falcon 9 engine failure and Dragon drop test issue, and will it affect crew launches? You know what? I didn't even talk about the Dragon drop on this week's episode of Our Ludicrous Future. It wasn't a reminder. They did not drop a Dragon capsule. But yesterday or 2 days ago, SpaceX, they have this, it's basically like a mass simulator that they're dropping out of a helicopter, or dropping from a helicopter, and then they deploy the chutes to make sure the chutes go through their normal regime. They had a little failure with it, and they totally had to emergency eject. The helicopter was going into some kind of a little bit of an oscillation, and they had to eject, and therefore the chutes weren't armed, and they lost that test vehicle. But it's really not a huge deal. But I do think that, and then the Falcon 9, the Merlin engine investigation, will have some effect, but I don't think that'll have as big of effect as the rest of the virus issue right now. So I think between those two things, we're probably looking at a month or two delay probably anyway for the DM2 launch. My guess would be July. My personal guess. I have no information on this. SpaceX and NASA has moved DM2 launch officially from early May now to mid or late May, is what they're saying. But they have started taking press applications, which I got mine in. And then on top of that, then there was I'm guessing between the Merlin engine failure last week, I'm just guessing that we're going to be seeing probably July at this point, but that's all subject to change. We will see. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Paradigm Blue, thank you so much. Can you lay out how would you chart NASA's course over the next 5 years if I were in charge? Ooh, that's a fun question. If I was in charge of NASA, I would be pushing day one. I would walk in the door and say, no more cost plus contracts unless it's like absolutely necessary. We are done with cost plus contracting and we're just going to be doing fixed price contracting and really getting into the competitive business, because that's what NASA needs to be doing, in my opinion. The lunar missions, the Artemis program, all of that stuff from now on, I think we should just purely be saying, here is what we want. This is our mission. Here's our outline. Now everyone bid on it and we will take the best bid. Because that's not necessarily the way, that is kind of the way the fixed price contracting works, but it's normally a bid and then it's like, there's no incentive to actually get it done on time or on budget when you have cost plus. So I would be going fixed price contracting day one. I would really get more heavily invested in ambitious projects and things that we never quite, like nuclear engines. I would get those on the table ASAP so we can have fast transport to Mars, fast transport out to Jupiter, things like that for probes. And I would invest in nuclear propulsion. I would invest in fixed price contracts and really competitive. That's what I would do if I was in charge of NASA, and hopefully just help renew public's excitement about the things that NASA does, because NASA still does so, like, all of the back end, all of the important things and the cutting edge things, that is NASA. Some of you, I'm doing a video again about SLS. Kind of SLS versus Starship. We're going to compare their capabilities, but the important thing to remember is that NASA, that SpaceX wouldn't exist without NASA. Blue Origin probably kind of would exist without NASA, but not. There's a lot of things that NASA does, and I think their role just needs to kind of continually shift a little bit into the hard sciences, into the scientific observations, the pushing of technologies that aren't necessarily. I think we're getting close to this. The technologies that might not be profitable and the science that might not be profitable, I'd push on that more than push on being the prime contractor or the actual engineers of launch vehicles these days, because that now can be done by the private sector pretty well. So yeah, that would be my that'd be my doings. So thank you very much, Paradigm Blue. That was a great question, and thank you so much for the tip. Antonian, hey man, I very much... Okay, hold on.
2019, the U.S. Space Force is a new military service that organizes... Okay,
just telling us about Space Force. Antonian, hey man, I very much enjoy your channel. GZ on new PC. Question, why don't companies use plane rocket designs, horizontal launch? It was on my video. So thank you first for the question and for the tip. So the thing with why you don't necessarily want wings. Hey, Tori Bruno. Yes, he is awesome. Again, definitely watch Destin from Smarter Everyday's interview and Rocket Tour with Tori. Tori knows his stuff. He knows literally everything, head to toe of he's a rocket scientist. He is an actual rocket engineer. He knows his stuff. He's very smart. I just love hearing from people that are experts, and Tori Bruno is a proper expert. So why don't companies use planes? Basically, if you're not utilizing the air-breathing engine, if you're not utilizing the atmosphere to be able to make either your oxidizer or as reaction mass in an engine, you're just fighting the air, and you're lugging around extra wings. You're especially once you get into space, anything that's aerodynamic is now wasted mass. Or an aerodynamic control surface or an aerodynamic lifting body is now dead mass in space, and you don't want to be lugging that around in space. So if you are actual rocket propulsion and not using any kind of tropospheric or atmospheric, oh, here we go, they're lighting up the second stage.
Restart on the RL-10.
We are now approaching main engine start 2. Let's listen in.
And yes, they call the RL-10 the main engine. They call the first stage the booster engine. There we go.
We have ignition for the second burn. This burn will be approximately 6 minutes in duration, and the TDO-2 payload will be deployed shortly after MECO-2. Engine parameters look good at the beginning of the burn.
Wow. So crazy.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T plus 23 minutes 7 seconds. We just heard confirmation of the second main engine start. Main engine cutoff 2 is planned to occur in approximately 6 minutes. While we wait, I wanted to give our audience an update today on the progress of ULA's new rocket, the Vulcan Centaur.
We can watch that anytime. Vulcan Centaur is going to be awesome. I'm really excited for that to go online. It's going to be a powerful beast. But let's So as far as rocket planes, if you are not utilizing the atmosphere in your reaction, if you're not using an air-breathing engine or using the atmosphere as reaction mass, you're better to get out of the atmosphere as quickly as you can. That's why rockets go straight up, and then they start to turn over as the atmosphere begins to thin out, because you're actually, the longer you're in the atmosphere, the more you're fighting it if you're using a purely rocket-powered vehicle. That's why if you're playing Kerbal Space Program and you're on Eve and you're not utilizing the atmosphere at all, because you can't use the air on Eve. This is, a total tangent thing. But people used to argue that I had this one vehicle that started off with a lower than 1-to-1 thrust-to-weight ratio, so it used wings for a little bit, but as soon as it got above 1.0 thrust-to-weight ratio, I'd pitch that thing straight up and get out of the atmosphere, because at that point, the wings are doing nothing. They're not helping at all. And it's the same thing. A plane design, you're just lugging around big, heavy, massive wings, and you actually want to get out of the atmosphere as quickly as possible when you're using a rocket. But the math just works out that the simplest, cheapest, lightest weight vehicle is pretty much a stick with some engines and some fuel in it. And that's the quickest way. Get out of that atmosphere, start doing a gravity turn, and start going horizontal, accelerating horizontally quicker rather than later. So, yeah. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. Thanks for your tip. Felix 11. Tim, any thoughts / comments on what is happening with Bigelow? Man, I am kind of... there's the RL-10. It's such a small little engine. And that's not showing the full nozzle extension there. Any thoughts and comments on what's happening with Bigelow? I don't know enough to really comment on it. But Bigelow, it'd be a real shame, because Bigelow had done some impressive things. Having, the beam, the Bigelow expandable airlock module, or whatever beam stood for, on the International Space Station, and they had some really cool concepts. Oh, look at the RL-10 powering. Oh, that's so cool. the DC-10X or whatever. Wait, what's it called? DCX. That is the coolest thing ever. Gosh, I love that. So yeah, it's really a shame that a rocket company or an aerospace company like that might be folding. We don't have any official word, but basically everyone got laid off for now. It'd be really, really sad. And they had some really cool plans, and I really hope that something can still come out of it, but we will see. Friday Ray, what about Starman bathrobes? Not a bad idea. That'd be pretty fun. Luke Stammy, thanks for the membership. Derek, thanks for 2. It was an amplifier card and hydraulic accumulator. Dang. Derek, that is a knowledge drop right there. An amplifier card and a hydraulic accumulator. Now you know why we got scrubbed a little bit today. That's awesome. Thanks for the knowledge, Derek. Lucas, still here, and Go Navigator is just looking at me. Still very cool since I've never seen the ships. That's awesome. It is crazy. It's, for some reason, there's something to see them in real life. It's so cool to go out to the port and go down to Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center and things like that. But at Cape Canaveral, we can just see these boats that we are used to seeing all the time. You can get this. There's this one restaurant where you can literally stand like right next to Go Navigator, and or Go Search, or one of them, and it is so cool. And you can see the drone ships, you can see the ferrying catching boats. It's awesome. Definitely, once all this stuff clears and it's okay to travel and everything, definitely make your way down to Florida. Go see a rocket launch. It's super cool. Ooh, sweet. Heli Dragon 510 just ordered an Aerospike shirt. Great work. Well, thanks for grabbing that shirt. That is literally one of my favorites. That's awesome. Thank you. Joey McDonald, sign up for Brave browser rewards so we can tip you in crypto as well. Well, I haven't really done anything with that, but I will look into that. That's awesome. That'd be very generous for you to offer that. So thank you. Let's listening in here. They're not really talking about anything yet, so I'll let you guys know if they say anything, but we're probably coming up on engine shutdown here soon. T-minus 1 minute on the burn. Endorisu, New Glenn Lightning Towers will be taller than the rocket. Yes, and the whole New Glenn pad out there, Space Launch Complex 36, that New Glenn, Blue Origin's New Glenn, massive rocket. This thing's almost as big as the Saturn V. It's almost as big as Starship. It's a little bit smaller diameter, a little bit less tall, but it's huge. And the Lightning Towers and some of the infrastructure is just coming online, and it is huge stuff. The water tower is so big. You can see it from like 10 miles away easily. 16 kilometers. But they're coming up on main engine cutoff, so let's listen in here. And yes, again, main engine for their upper stage. They call the first stage engine the booster engine.
And we've had MECO, main engine cutoff. We're standing by for TDO2 payload release in about 30 seconds.
So right away, they're
Following
going to...
TDO2 release, Centaur will coast for approximately 5 hours prior to the third and final burn.
Of course, I will not be here, and they will not live stream that. They're going to cut the live stream after the release of the CubeSats.
And we have good indication of successful deployment of the TDO2 spacecraft from the Centaur F bulkhead carrier. We're now seeing Centaur turn to its PTC roll attitude and beginning its PTC roll, and body rate responses look good.
With TDO2 separation, I'd like to thank Jesse Gonzalez for his support of today's show. For continuing updates on today's mission during this 5.5-hour coast, the final Centaur burn, and spacecraft separation, please visit ULA's live launch updates blog at ulalaunch.com or join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook. We'll now complete today's coverage with another look at today's liftoff, which occurred at 4:18 p.m. Eastern Time.
Cool. Let's watch that, and I'll keep answering guys' questions. But huge congrats to ULA on another successful launch. You guys seriously just make that look so easy. I love that. Let me see. For some reason, it looks like there's a little bit of clipping there. But yeah, congrats ULA again, and the Space Force for the final deployment of the AEHF-6. I'm so bad at that for some reason. Ugh, and I can't talk anymore. Endorsu, thank you. Back Spatsy, are you using... Oh no, where did it go? Are you using your new PC for folding at home? Oh, your machine could really help. Already more power than top 100 supercomputers. Also love what you do. Thank you. I don't really know that much about it, but I'll look into it. I don't know if my GPU can do the folding at home thing, but I definitely should look into that. Discord, remind me. Let's take a look and see. Someone let me know if my computer can do that, and if that's something I can let run idle in the background. I will absolutely do that in a heartbeat. That's where you can lend your computer's resources to helping to, well, in this case right now, fight the virus. So let me know. That'd be cool. David, thank you so much. David Wishengrad, thank you very much. Panic Oak, is the darker black soot the exhaust for the turbopumps? No. The turbopumps on the Atlas V run, it's an RD-180. It's a closed cycle engine. It runs oxygen rich anyways, and so there is no unburned propellant left over from the pre-burner. It all gets burnt still in the main engine exhaust. So the soot is purely from being cause of not only fuel rich, but also just RP1. When you burn RP1, no matter how clean you burn it, you will have leftover black carbon. And so, yeah, it is, ta-da. That's where it comes from. Aerospace engineer, you're a good man. Thanks. Well, thank you, aerospace engineer. Hoopo, figure out a collab with Robert or Savage so you both even out. It would be really cool. L1011. I definitely want to get... I have got a thing that I'm working on that will include some cool collaborations that you guys, I think, will have a lot of fun with. you'll see. You'll see hopefully this year for sure. Hopefully in like 2 or 3 months for sure. But yeah, stand by because it'll be something really cool that I'm really excited to share with you guys. Let's see. Aerospace Engineer, thanks again. Electrip, thanks for all the technical videos you make. You're welcome. Thanks for watching them. Mirko Beer. Tim, can you talk a little bit more about Starship? Every week I talk about Starship all the time on our Ludicrous Future podcast. Again, my voice is like super shot, and I'm working on a video all about Starship. Again, to give you kind of the update and project out what it will look like in a year or two, and compare that to SLS's development and SLS's progress as far as the systems as a whole too. And it will be a really deep dive, but not like an hour-long deep. Hopefully, like I said, under 30 minutes is my goal, and hopefully I'll have that video out very soon. Hopefully next week. I don't want to say for sure next week, but my goal is by next week. So stand by. I will talk all about Starship. But again, if you want Starship updates, just listen to our Ludicrous Future and subscribe here on YouTube. Newtopia Labs. Why would NASA want to investigate an engine failure to an experimental flight of the Falcon 9 since it was the first time try on a 5th flight? They'll still look into it just to make sure that the failure of the Merlin engine, even though it was its 5th flight, in no way is, what's like vestigial or some other cross-referenceable thing to a new Merlin engine. And likely the investigation will be relatively easy, but it's whenever, I don't care if an engine's been flown 100 times, you still want to know what the root cause of the failure was so that you can look into its weakness and its implementation, even on brand new rocket engines. So NASA will still probably care, just not as much as like if an engine failed on a brand new engine at T plus 5 seconds, right? It'll probably, there's some severity level difference, but yeah, it is a different thing. SpaceX is pushing their boosters further than they would for any other customers when it's internal missions like Starlink. So they're flying that booster for the 5th time, those fairings for the 2nd time. They're doing things with their own missions that they wouldn't risk doing with a customer's payload. So we will see things like that happen where engines fail, where landings fail, where they're doing more things that they would not risk. And so I do expect NASA to obviously look into it for their own, for DM2, but I don't expect a full long, like 3 or 6 month delay out of that because it wasn't a mission failure at all, even still. It was just an anomaly. And Chill Will 1990, thanks for letting me know about the free Kerbal trial. I've always wanted to play. Love your channel. That's awesome. That's great. I'm glad that you found that, and thanks my Discord channel for pointing that out because I didn't know about that either. So all right, guys. I think I gotta stop talking because I'm gonna die soon otherwise. So thank you guys so much for tuning in again. If you want to help support what I do and you want me to continually do more, you can consider becoming a Patreon member where you'll gain access to our awesome Discord channel. Say hi to everyone in Discord. Hi guys. By going to patreon.com/everydayastronaut, where you can also gain access to our exclusive subreddit and upcoming live streams and live stream reads and live stream input on scripts as well. So a lot of cool things going on. Hi guys. That's patreon.com/everydayastronaut. That helps a lot. So thank you guys for that. But also another fun way you can help support what I do is by going to everydayastronaut.com/shop. Grab some stuff, grab some merch. But then again, I know that money might be tight right now. I know that things are uncertain for everybody. So obviously don't worry about it. Just you watching my videos is a huge help too, because keep yourself entertained, knowledgeable, and support your favorite creators by watching lots of YouTube right now. It's, it really, really makes a difference. And thank you guys so much for watching with me, interacting, saying hi, and just being around. It really does mean a lot. So be good to each other. Say hi to your neighbors. And from a distance, of course. But look out for each other, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Again, if you want more of me week to week, Our Ludicrous Future, or you can go to olfpod.com and you can subscribe there, say hi to me, and let me know, guys. You guys are great. That's it. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Bye, everybody.